Part 16. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 151. At this moment, along with the new inventory, new characters appeared, and countless people were a little surprised. Because this time is a little different from before. This time, it doesn't even have a name. And directly, Lord Fool. Is it okay to just be Lord Fool? Oh? The mysterious continent? Lord Fool? Is this guy's name Lord Fool, or what? The mysterious continent? Fool. What does this fool mean? Stupid. Stupid. Doesn't it feel like a good name? Indeed, I always feel that this name is a bit disrespectful. Tisk tisk, Lord Fool? Is there such a title? The son of destiny from my western fantasy world finally appears. Lord Fool, ha ha ha, fool. Yo. Does this brother know the meaning of the fool? Tell me quickly so that you can clear up some confusion for us. What a fool. In our world, there is a kind of tarot card. In our world, tarot cards are used for divination, which is equivalent to some tortoise shells in your world, fortune telling, horoscopes, etc. There are 78 tarot cards in total, and among them, the Fool is the number 1 tarot card. Ranked first. That shouldn't be the kind of fool we imagined. Say it quickly. Quick update, can't sleep at night. In the tarot, the Fool represents innocence, simplicity, and possibility. The advantages are, being different, lucky, eclectic, pursuing novel dreams, taking risks, yearning for freedom, having an artistic temperament, going straight to the point, and free love. Oh? It seems that I already know what kind of character this child of luck is like. If you can call yourself the Fool, you should be a guy who likes 277 adventures and pursues freedom. The Fool card has advantages, but also has disadvantages. His disadvantages are, conceited, stubborn, unstable, stuck in rules, lack of responsibility, living in a dream, unrealistic, unable to adapt, stagnant, erratic behavior, wrong direction, emotional instability. Is that so? It feels like this fool is not a very good being. You can't say that. After all, they are cards, and they may not have much to do with the characters. This is the Fool's card, a divination card, just like we tell fortunes and tell zodiac signs. What the magic stick says is really accurate. Indeed, what the magic stick said was inaccurate, but what the old Taoists said was very accurate. Damn it, old Taoist priests and magic sticks, aren't they all the same? Anyway, the summary of the Fool is, heading towards the journey of life with innocence, simplicity, and no fear. This card tells us that in dreams, our judgment of what happens is relatively slow, but in the real world, but it often reflects possible dangers. Therefore, if we can have a pure heart that believes in dreams, then we will be better than many people in terms of spiritual freedom. Well, the experienced divination has no interest in knowing about Western divination. The old Taoist only knows the birth date, the Fool, and the tarot cards, but has no interest in it. Tisk, in this continent of ours, there are 2 continents, the East and the West. I was lucky enough to go to the Western continent. I have also heard of this tarot card. Although I sneered at it, I have to say that it is an ancient legend of the Western continent after all. What is left behind still has certain merits. When it comes to interpretation of this card, there are actually some interpretations of upright, reverse, etc. You cannot just talk about one card and then look at this Lord Fool. No matter what the tarot cards are, I just want to know what is going on with the Fool. Lord Fool. A blind guess, this Master Fool is a time traveler. Laugh.jpg. Ha ha ha, by the way, with so many children of luck appearing now, time travelers seem to account for the majority, right? Well, except for the son of destiny who was originally on the earth. Xiao Yan counts the rest. Does Gu Yufang Yuan count as one? Yefan should be counted as one, right? Li Changshao is also one, and the rest seem to be gone, right? What? Don't you count my family's 3 Geiji? Song Geiji is also a time traveler. Forget Tang San, even if you add Tang San, there are only 5 people. So, the time traveler is not necessarily the child of luck. Currently, there are 14 sons of luck in the inventory, but there are only 5 sons of luck. Tisk, sure enough, they are still natives, and we natives have a high chance of being the sons of luck. It does not necessarily mean that a time traveler is a child of luck. Well, although it is not necessarily said that the time traveler is the child of luck, there is a high possibility that the time traveler is the child of luck. There is no doubt about this. Indeed, I haven't discovered that there are time travelers in the world, and they are not children of luck. It makes sense. If there were time travelers in the world, they would most likely be the children of luck. At this moment, countless people in the world were discussing. Looking at the so-called master fool in the Dao Golden List, everyone's thoughts were wandering. At this moment, it was seen that a new divine pattern appeared in the picture. Now, this is a worldview for this world. In this mysterious world, there are 4 continents in total, specifically, the northern continent, the southern continent, the eastern main road, and the western main road. Of course, in addition to these 4 continents, there are also 5 oceans. They are, the North Sea, the Sunayan Sea, the Mist Sea, the Furious Sea, and the Polar Sea. In addition to the continents and oceans, there are starry skies above our heads. In some invisible place, there is also a place called the spirit world. There is even a world called the abyss, and even a world called absolute rationality. I probably glanced at this so-called mysterious continent. Countless people started discussing it again. Oh, it looks just average. It seems that the world is not very big. The 4 continents of East, West, North, and South, plus the 5 seas, plus the starry sky, abyss, etc., this world is not as big as the big world. The previous ones have begun to expand all over the world, but this world is actually just a continent. The layout is smaller. The layout is too small. Ha ha ha, indeed, I thought it would be hard to see this kind of world with a single continent. But I didn't expect that this kind of lucky child from the mainland would appear again. It is still the setting of the Western fantasy continent. How should I put it? Sure enough, the Western continent is not comparable to our world at all. Oh, don't say that, even though it's true. Before, some people instigated all races to oppose the human race. What happened? Today, some people still want to stir up conflict between the Eastern continent and the Western continent. At this time, countless people were discussing. At this moment, a new divine pattern appeared in the picture. This is a description of the practice system of this world. In this world, practice is called the path of God. By taking magic potions, you can complete the jump in life levels, and even eventually become a god. There are 22 paths to God. Each path has sequence 9 to sequence 0, a total of 10 sequences. Each normal path, under normal circumstances, there can only be 1 digit of sequence 0, or 3 digits of sequence 1. The number of sequence 2 in different ways is also different. In this world, sequences also have different names. Medium sequence, the collective name of sequences 5 and 6, in modern times it refers to sequences 5-7. High sequence, the collective name of saints and angels, also called demigods. If the demigods are promoted for human beings, they are also called demigods. The quality of life and spirit changes, and they gain divinity, regardless of lifespan or ability. It will be completely beyond the scope of human beings and will be superior. It can open the form of mythical creatures. Saint, refers to the collective name of sequence 3 and 4. It is in the process of gradually evolving into mythical creatures. However, the form of mythical creatures is not complete, and there are obvious characteristics of the original race. Its time sequence 3 can be regarded as a god in a certain sense and can respond to prayers within a certain range. Because it is not yet at the angelic level, the anchor may not be a believer, and can be replaced by other things, such as those that are distinctive in life and have mystical significance. The brand angel refers to the collective name of sequences 1 and 2, mainly applicable after the Third Age. In the Dark Age, it is also called a slave god. It can have the name of a god and serve as an affiliate of the ancient god. It can respond to prayers all over the world. Can open the form of mythical creatures without loss. Archangel refers to sequence 1. True God refers to sequence 0. Countless people saw it, and started discussing it one by one. Is this the spiritual realm of this world? Low sequence, medium sequence, high sequence, saint, angel, archangel, true God. That's all. It seems very simple. In this world, do you actually need to take magic potions to improve your realm? It feels a little flawed. There is no convenience in improving the strength of our world. As for this magic potion, it should probably be similar to the pills in our world, right? Well, it should be like this. It's a bit like the foundation building pills and gold forming pills in our world. It feels completely different. This world is a bit novel, with a completely different practice style and a completely different system. Tisk, it makes Pandeo a little more interested. In other words, are these 22 paths to God equivalent to 22 cultivation systems? Way of practice. In our world, it should probably be the difference between practicing martial arts and cultivating the truth, right? Not just that. Martial arts, immortality, and even Confucianism and Taoism practice systems. I don't know the details yet, you'll have to watch it to find out. Haha, by the way, after seeing so many worlds and reading so many inventories, can you possibly find 22 cultivation routes? Well, cultivation is one thing, practicing martial arts is another thing, and cultivating the soul should also be another thing, to become a ghost or immortal. Also, fighting spirit, soul ring, goo insect, and divine refining orifice, there are probably 7 types, right? Damn it, do we only have these 7 cultivation systems in the Eastern world? You can't say that, our world still practices Confucianism. Alas, there are so many worlds, but they are not as good as this one world. At this moment, countless people discussed and sighed. At this moment, new divine patterns were seen flashing in the picture. There are also overall descriptions of the sequential paths and different systems of this world. The 22 sequential paths are, Fool, Door, Error, Dreamer, Tyrant, Sun, White Tower, Hanged Man, Moon, Mother, Death, Darkness, Twilight Giant, Red Priest, Witch, Black Emperor, Judge, Abyss, Bound One, Hermit, Perfection, Wheel of Fortune. These are the so-called 22 paths to God. Hey, what is this? I didn't understand it at all. Indeed, fool, the door? Mistake. Is this all God's way? What the hell is this? Mistake? Is this kind of existence with the same concept also a path to God? Why do I suddenly feel that the so-called path to God in this world is one of the 3,000 avenues? I've heard that this is the wrong way. Mistakes are the road, but what about the rest? Is this mother also a divine path? What the hell is this? Witch, Black Emperor. Good guy, what is this? The perfect one? The will of fate? What else is dark? Is this all God's way? I don't know what kind of methods and abilities these existences have. To be honest, Pandeo is quite curious. 22 paths to God, What kind of weird way of practice is this world? He said he couldn't understand it at all. Who the hell can understand this? My face is full of ferocity now. At a loss, completely at a loss. What's at a loss? It must be unclear. 22 paths to God, it feels like 22 avenues. God's way? Avenue? Gee, that's a little weird. Is this the so-called mysterious continent? Completely clueless. It's normal for you people from the Eastern continent not to be able to understand it, but for us people from the Western continent, it's really hard to understand it either. Laughing to death 1.5. By the way, do these 22 paths to God correspond to tarot cards? Did anyone come out and explain it? Well, in terms of tarot, there are a total of 78 cards, of which there are 22 major arcana cards. Here, there are some names that fit the major arcana cards. Among them, the 22 major arcana cards are Fool, Magician, Priestess, Queen, Emperor, Pope, Lover, Chariot, Strength, Hermit, Wheel of Fortune, Justice, and the Hanged Man. Death, Temperance, Demon, Tower, Stars, Moon, Judgment, World. It's really different, so different. It's just this door, it doesn't exist, there are still errors and so on. I am getting more and more confused. I can't understand it at all. At this moment, countless people were talking, all of them with ferocious faces. They didn't know what to say. At this moment, it was seen that a new divine pattern appeared in the picture. In this world, different systems are interchangeable in adjacent pathways. Some pathways can be converted when advancing from sequence 5 to sequence 4. Among them are Sun Visionary White Tower, the Tyrant, and the Hanged Man paths can be converted to each other. The paths of Black Emperor and Judge can be converted to each other. The paths of Red Priest and Witch can be converted to each other. The Abyss and the Bound paths can be converted to each other. The Hermit and Perfect paths can be converted into each other. The Moon and Mother paths can be converted into each other. Fool Gate and Wrong paths can be converted into each other. This is the special thing about the paths in this world. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 152. Oh. Can we exchange systems with each other? This way of God is a bit interesting. To be honest, I still can't understand it. These divine ways are too abstract and leave no room for imagination. I don't know what these are all about. I can't understand it either, there is absolutely no room for imagination. You cultivators and warriors from the Eastern Continent system have never experienced these or encountered these. It is normal that you cannot understand them. In fact, I cannot understand them either. Laughing to death, this system does not belong to the East or the West. What the hell is it? Damn it, I'm going to die laughing. Where did this God's path system come from? I don't know at all, and I don't know at all, but now, I want to know even more what kind of stories there are in this world. This Lord Fool, tisk tisk, guess blindly, he is a time traveler. Just a blind guess, it's a magic weapon. Just a blind guess, he is a native. A blind guess, he is a reborn person. Just a blind guess, he is an immortal. What the hell is wrong with you? At this moment, countless people in the world were discussing. At this moment, a new picture appeared in the golden list of the avenue. At the same time, a voice faintly resounded in everyone's ears. Middle. Fuxian Xian Huang Immortal Lord. Fuxian Xian Huang Tianjun. Fuxian Xian Huang God. Fuxian Xian Huang Tianzun. A low murmur slowly sounded in the golden list of the avenue. At this moment, the scenes in the Great Dao golden list were slowly unfolding like a scroll. You can see that in the picture is a young man with black hair and brown eyes, an ordinary appearance, and a dark outline. He sat at the table, looking at the notebook, ink, and a revolver in front of him. Tilting your head slightly, you can see the bright red moon outside the window. The red is deep and the red is eerie. Red moon. Dark room. Inexplicable young man. Forward, the young man looked at the pistol and the notebook on the table. He felt a little headache and some strange and unknown fear. The different red moons, and even the European and American classical style decoration in the room, all tell one question. He has traveled through time. Yes. Just as countless people in the world think, this Lord of Mystery, this time the Son of Fate, is a time traveler. His real name is Joe Mingrui, but his identity from time travel is named Klein Moretti. A native of Tingen City, Ahau County, Lone Kingdom, Northern Continent, and a recent graduate of the History Department of Hoi University. His father was a sergeant in the Royal Army. He sacrificed his life in the colonial conflict in the southern continent. The pension he received in exchange allowed Klein to enter a private school, which laid the foundation for his eagerness to enter university. His mother was a believer in the goddess of the night and passed away when Klein was in college. There is also a brother and a sister who live together in a two-bedroom apartment. The family is not considered wealthy, it can even be said to be poor. It's all thanks to my brother's support. Holding back the pain, he pounded his brain. Immediately, he thought of something and looked down at the notebook in front of him. The words on the yellowed paper were very strange, a little weird, and a little incomprehensible. But I don't know why, the words gradually changed from strange to strange, from strange to familiar, and then from familiar to interpretable. Everyone will die. Including me. The dark ink stains are eerie, giving people a chilling illusion. He took a breath and quickly leaned back, trying to distance himself from the words. Finally, he set his sights on the revolver. There is no doubt that it was because of Klein's suicide that Joe Mingrui's time traveled. But underscore. With Klein's family background, how could he have the money and access to buy a pistol? He frowned and muttered to himself. But he didn't have any thoughts at all. There was no relevant memory in his mind, just like the shot he fired before had wiped out his memory. Even if you put aside this issue, he had more questions. How did he travel through time? Even if he traveled through time, where did the power to repair his head come from? For a time, countless doubts filled his mind. In the end, he could only put his head aside. Wound repair is a built-in benefit for time travelers. As for how he traveled through time, why bother too much? Now, the only question he is thinking about is what happened to his predecessor? Why did he commit suicide? Because, with him traveling through time, if he wants to become Klein, then he needs to inherit Klein's cause and effect. If the situation that makes Klein commit suicide occurs to him, will it also make him commit suicide? This sense of urgency that threatens his life forces him to find the so-called the truth. He washed the blood off his body and sorted out the messy memories in his mind. He recalled what he had done before crossing over. He quickly thought of it. He remembered that before crossing over, he was very unlucky for a period of time, and then he did a transfer ritual. Although he also knew that this so-called transfer ritual was a bit unreliable, after all, he had been unlucky for a long time. What if it works? Even if it is psychological comfort, it is okay. When he thinks of this, I can't say that time travel is because of the transfer ritual. Let's try it first. If this transfer ritual can travel through time, maybe I can also travel back, he thought so. As a time traveler, after understanding the situation here for the first time, he naturally wanted to time travel back. After all, he had everything over there, including friends, best friends, and family. Wait. There are also abundant networks and things for entertainment. Taken together, aren't these things better than the environment here in Europe and America in the 19th century? So, let's use a dead horse as a live doctor. Anyway, Try it, it doesn't cost any money to try. However, this will have to wait until the next day. He witnessed his sister going out and his brother going out. He was not touched by the fact that these two were brothers and sisters from their previous lives. The only thing he wanted to do now was to go back. After the two of them went out, he started to go out to buy some necessities. However, just as he was passing by the cross street, a hoarse female voice came from beside him. Want a divination? No, he shook his head politely. He didn't have the spare money to do divination at all. However, the woman smiled and said, my divination is very accurate. As she said that, she laid out the tarot cards. Zhou Mingrui was stunned when he saw it. Tarot cards. Tarot divination? The pronunciation of the word tarot is very similar to that on Earth. The most important thing is that the cards are very similar. He frowned, thinking about this so-called tarot card divination. Soon, he thought of the origin of this tarot card. This is not the orthodox divine divination of some faith, nor is it some ancient, it is a legacy that was invented more than 170 years ago by Russell Gustav, a consul of the Republic. The key is that this Mr. Russell also invented the steam engine, improved the sailboat, and overturned the rule of the Kingdom of Thebes, was recognized by the Church of the God of Artisans, and he became the chief consul of the new republic. Russell also invented tarot divination and established the gameplay and composition of playing cards, such as Upgrade, Landlord Fight, Texas, Quint. It's a pity that when he grew old, he was betrayed. In 1198 of the Fifth Era, he was taught by the Eternal Sun, and betrayed by King Intus and the nobles, and fell into the White Maple Palace. Recalling the deeds about Russell in his mind, he was suddenly speechless. Damn it! Isn't this Russell a senior time traveler? And this at that time, countless people in all the world saw this, and every one of them laughed. Good guys, one world, two time travelers. By the way, isn't Russell doing well? Got stabbed in the back. Tisk, tisk, it's really embarrassing to the time traveler. He is also a time traveler. Is this Russell so miserable? He took charge of a new kingdom and was stabbed to death in the back. Tisk tisk, shame on you. What a shame. By the way, is it true that there are two time travelers in this world? Why does it feel a little weird? Two time travelers? Russell is still dead? By the way, looking at it now, time travelers are not necessarily children of luck. Although they are not children of luck, time travelers can really change a lot of things. Just like Russell, he used steam engines, improved sailing ships, overthrew the rule, and invented all kinds of things. It can be said that this copywriter was really comfortable. In fact, he did not overthrow the rule and just lived like this. It's okay to go down, and you'll be considered successful. By the way, doesn't this world have a cultivation system? This Klein? No practice. Well, maybe this has something to do with Klein's suicide. Also, Klein's transfer ritual must be very important too. Indeed, it all depends on the subsequent performance. Anyway, now it seems that it is ordinary. At this moment, countless people are discussing in all the worlds. At this moment, it can be seen that in the picture. Along with Zhou Mingrui, that is, Klein's thinking, soon, the woman's hoarse voice sounded faintly. My divination is very accurate. Well, you are the first one to come to divination, it's free. Free. Zhou Mingrui smiled, he knew it was free. He made up his mind that no matter what charges were offered in the future, he would refuse. He still didn't believe it. Could this woman divine that he was a time traveler? Thinking of this, he saw the woman bringing out a table full of cards. He shuffled and cut the cards, and soon, he drew out a card. What he wanted to divine was the past, present, and future. Finally, he drew out 3 cards, one represents the past, one represents the present, and one represents the future. Turning over the present card, it is a Fool card. Zhou Mingrui looked at the Fool card and began to automatically interpret it. The so-called Fool card is the sequence 0. Represents the beginning. Includes all possible beginnings. He thought about it, but he just didn't know why. He was not a fan of tarot cards either. He was about to let the woman interpret it. However, at this moment, why are you pretending to be me again? It's my job to tell people fortune tellings. Remember, you are just a trainer. A woman's angry roar came. Zhou Mingrui was speechless. Good guy, is this woman pretending to be? It was only at this moment that he saw the woman, who was also wearing a pointed hat. She was just taller and thinner. The woman smiled and quickly left the tent. Finally, the woman who came after walked in. Sir, do you need me to interpret it for you? The real fortune teller looked at Zhou Mingrui and asked. Free, Zhou Mingrui asked. No, the fortune teller answered. Goodbye. Zhou Mingrui turned around and left, laughing. However, he really has no money. It is impossible to waste money on this kind of divination. He also wants to buy vegetables. The money is really not spent. Not to mention the money given by his brother. Even the 1 coin in his pocket was spent. However, fortunately, with the staple food, the transfer ceremony can be performed. Soon, Zhou Mingrui returned to the room. After calming down for a few minutes, finally, he took solemn steps and walked counterclockwise in a square. Taking 1 step forward, he whispered softly, Fuxian Xian Huang, Immortal Lord. In the 2nd step, he sincerely recited Fuxian Xian Huang Tianjun. In the 3rd step, he held his breath and concentrated God Fuxian Xian Huang. In the 4th step, he took a deep breath Fuxian Xian Huang Tianzun. After walking 4 steps, he finished reciting silently. Until this moment, Zhou Mingrui closed his eyes, waiting, looking forward, hoping to go back. However, the next second, he was in a trance for a while, and suddenly came to a place full of grey fog. In the fog, there are countless crimson stars dotted, some big and some small. What's going on? Zhou Mingrui was dumbfounded. This was just a transfer ceremony, but he didn't expect that he would directly arrive in this land of grey fog. What the hell is this? He subconsciously touched the stars, but as soon as he touched them, he felt strange and hurried. He stopped his hand, but without thinking, he bumped into another star. Immediately afterwards, those 2 stars shined brightly, and Zhou Mingrui felt that his head was empty and his energy was scattered. At the same time, in 2 places in these 483 worlds, there were also grey fog shrouded, and scarlet appeared, drowning the 2 of them in an instant. Above the vast white grey fog area, Zhou Mingrui was shrouded in grey fog, and he looked at the other 2 people who suddenly appeared in front of him with some surprise. They were also covered by grey fog. 2 people. Zhou Mingrui was stupid. Sir, where is this? A man's voice sounded in a deep voice. What do you want to do? A panicked female voice also sounded. Zhou Mingrui looked at the 2 people in front of him, thinking quickly in his mind. Obviously, he pulled these 2 people up because of the stars he had touched before. These 2 people appeared. Now, he has 2 choices, either to pretend to be a victim, or to maintain a mysterious image, so as to obtain the value of the petition. There was no time to think, and finally, he decided to try the second option. He pondered for a few seconds, and there was grey under the blessing of the fog. No one knew what he was thinking, so Zhou Mingrui chuckled twice and said lightly, a try. As soon as these words came out, the 2 of them immediately took a breath. 1 second, they were somewhere else, and the next second, they appeared here. The female voice said with some anxiety, Your Excellency, the attempt is over, can you let me go? Are we going back? Soon, Klein roughly understood something. The appearance of the two people was actually just a projection. If the connection is cut off, the two people will dissipate and return. Thinking of this, Zhou Mingrui said, "Of course, if you formally propose it, I can let you go back now." As soon as these words came out, the two of them breathed a sigh of relief. There was no malice. Then, they left in no hurry. They began to look around. Suddenly, the female voice said, "This is a wonderful experience. Well, I've been looking forward to something like this happening. I mean, I love mystery, I love supernatural opportunities. No, my point, I mean, sir, how do I become extraordinary?" "Good question. I want to know the answer too." Zhou Mingrui admired, but then he began to think about how to maintain the mysterious image. If this scene was a temple, a long table carved with many ancient patterns, a back chair full of mystery, he sat on the top, looking down. Is this mystery full? However, he just thought so. The next second, the gray mist surged, and in the blink of an eye, condensed into a majestic palace, and even towering stone pillars, magnificent and spectacular, like a giant royal court. The long bronze table and high-backed chairs outlined different symbolic constellations. This change shocked the two of them. Zhou Mingrui, there was no reply until this moment, when the man suddenly replied. "Are you from Lone? If you want to become an extraordinary person, you must join the Church of the Goddess of Night, the Church of the Lord of Storms, or the Church of the God of Steam and Machinery." Perhaps many people question the existence of extraordinary people, but in fact, extraordinary people exist in arbitration tribunals, courts, and execution agencies. Fight the dangers in the dark. Zhou Mingrui thought and started to listen. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 153. At this time, countless people in all the worlds looked at this scene, and they were all surprised. Is this gold finger? This golden finger has finally arrived. By the way, what is the use of the golden finger in this grey fog world? Just pulling people. If it's just to attract people, this golden finger is just average. Indeed, this golden finger looks just like that. By the way, doesn't this golden finger help with spiritual practice? It looks more crotch-stretching than Suyu's golden finger. Other people's golden fingers can either improve one's own shortcomings in cultivation, or like Fang Han, they have a heaven-defying treasure, and this grey mist, tisk, how do you look at it and feel like garbage? You can't say rubbish. You see, these two guys regard Zhou Mingrui as a god, but in reality, Klein is just an ordinary person. The two of them were talking to each other as if nothing was happening, and Zhou Mingrui could just get information here. The value of a practitioner's information is always the most important. Indeed, with this aspect, it can indeed make up for the lack of knowledge, but it is still average after all. This golden finger is far less incredible than imagined. At this moment, countless people are talking. They are taking stock of this issue's golden finger and pointing fingers. Although they don't know what this grey fog world is, in general, from the current point of view, this golden finger is real. Generally. At this time, on the mysterious continent, the Eastern continent, a magical land. He is wearing a black classical robe, a pointed soft hat, black curly hair, black eyes, a wide forehead, a thin face. He also wears a crystal-carved monocle. Yes, that's right, he is a Mon. He looked at the scene in the Dao Golden List, looked at the so-called grey fog, he thought. This is Origin Castle. It only took him a moment to realize the existence of Origin Castle. Looking at the grey fog and the faintly visible stars, what is this if not Origin Castle? Now, he is exploring the history before the first epoch. Here, the land abandoned by the gods has been explored for thousands of years. But I didn't expect that now, I would actually see the origin castle? Klein? Joe Mingrui? I see, Amon chuckled. How could he not know about the origin castle? That is the legacy of the original creator. It is a key prop to break through the sequence 0 and the avenue sequence. The origin castle is absolutely indispensable. He is a fool, wrong, the door route. If he wants to succeed in becoming a fool, a mistake, and a door, this source castle is what he must need. He has been searching for countless years, but he didn't expect to see it in the golden list of the avenue. Source castle. He murmured, and then chuckled. At the same time, a table appeared in front of him, with food on it. Even the food is exactly the same as Klein's. He stood at the counterclockwise corner, recalling Klein's every move. Suddenly, he took a step forward, using Klein's tone, expression, and words, and softly read Fuxian Qian Huang Immortal Lord. At the same time, he took the second step at the same time, and he sincerely recited Fuxian Qian Huang Tianjun. After that, he took another step, held his breath, and recited Fuxian Qian Huang God. Finally, in the fourth step, he took a deep breath Fuxian Qian Huang Tianzun. The words fell. However, nothing happened. Immediately, he stared at the golden list of the avenue, and a playful smile appeared at the corner of his mouth again. However, he is now taking steps towards the northern continent. At the same time, Backlund from the northern continent. That was the past. He never expected that he would become a child of luck. To be honest, when he learned that there was a senior time traveler in this world, Russell, he didn't think he was a child of luck. He didn't think he was a child of luck. What a protagonist. But he didn't expect that he would really become the son of fate. And that grey mist has become his golden finger. To be honest, he is not worried about the Deo Gold list revealing that he is not powerful, nor is he a god. Now, he is gradually getting stronger. In the future, he believes that he can become even higher. Whether it's a clown or a faceless man, anyway, now he has changed his name to Sherlock Moriarty and disguised himself as a private detective. He didn't believe that others could recognize him. Whether it's Miss Justice Audrey, or something else, thinking about this, he pondered and continued to look at the Avenue Gold list. At the same time, in Queen's District, in a luxurious villa, Audrey looked at the picture on the Avenue Gold list and exclaimed. It turns out that Lord Fool is not a god, but the son of luck. Audrey was a little incredulous, and then, little stars twinkled in her eyes. I didn't expect that Lord Fool would have such a bookish attitude. Not to mention, this Klein is quite in line with her aesthetics. At this time, Sunaya is on the sea. Alger stared at the picture on the Avenue Gold list and smiled. From the beginning, he thought that this Lord Fool might not be a saint. However, because the temptations he tried again and again were fruitless and even more mysterious, he finally made the decision. But he didn't expect that now that the Deo Gold list was exposed, he could see the true situation of Lord Fool. He smiled. So, you are just an ordinary person. The respectfulness and caution before turned into a little annoyed and unhappy at this moment. But, he was not happy anymore. When he looked at the golden list of the avenue, his eyes flickered with some impressive ambition. He also wants to get the golden finger. I also want to be a child of luck. Just, a child of luck. By the way, he is the son of luck. Lord Fool is the son of luck. Although he is not a god, as a son of fate, he is indeed nobler than a god. This. Alger was silent again for a while. The growth of a child of luck is incredible. When the time comes, it may even be more powerful than the gods, even more so. He frowned and continued to look at the Deo Gold list. At this moment, on the Deo Gold list, the scene continued. With Joe Mingrui calling himself Lord Fool, he witnessed the transaction between Alger and Miss Audrey. Alger is now a Sequence 7 navigator. At the same time, because of Zhou Mingrui's pretense, the two also felt that Zhou Mingrui was very powerful and mysterious. Moreover, because of Zhou Mingrui's persistence, Audrey took the code name of Justice, and Alger took the code name of the Hanged Man. At this point, the weekly tarot session is completely established. After returning from above the grey fog, Zhou Mingrui finally realized that he could not return to Earth. With all hope of going back gone, he could only accept his identity. At this point, he finally transferred his identity to Klein. In order to survive, he naturally has to find ways to find the answers to everything. The mystery of the original owner Klein's suicide. Soon, he noticed clues from his notes. It seems to be related to reading some mysterious notes of yours. And there are two other people reading the notes. However, the key thing is that the other two people committed suicide in incredible ways. Plus he. In other words, all the people who read the notes committed suicide? Just because he is a time traveler and came back to life? Klein frowned. There is no doubt that he was involved in the mysterious note incident. However, just because of this mysterious note incident, it naturally attracted official attention. Dunn, the captain of the Nighthawks in Tingen, came to find Klein. Using the ability of the Sequence 7 Nightmare, I entered Klein's dream to investigate, and it was determined that Klein had lost his memory. And this mysterious note is the family note of Antigonus, which records the magic potion formula of the fortune teller's path, as well as some hidden history of the Fourth Age. Some uncirculated secret knowledge itself represents the source of some mysterious power. Therefore, this note is very important to the Nighthawks team. Captain Dunn planned to use Klein to find the note, so he invited Klein to join the Nighthawks team. For Klein, being extraordinary, powerful, and extraordinary naturally attracts him. He also wanted to become an Beyonder and a sequencer, so he naturally chose to join the Nighthawks team. Finally, after accumulating enough contributions, he finally took the magic potion and became a Sequence 9 diviner. Of course, during this period, he also learned what a sealed object was and the responsibilities of the Nighthawks team. The Nighthawks squad is for a group of poor people who are always fighting against danger and madness, walk with danger and protect the ordinary from being eroded by darkness. This is the Nighthawks squad. Similarly, Klein also roughly understood the origin of the world. Starting from the creation myth, the creator woke up from chaos and broke the darkness. Created the first ray of light. Then he completely integrated himself into the universe and transformed into all things. His body became the earth and stars. One of his eyes became the sun, and the other eye became the red moon. Part of his blood surged into seas and rivers, giving birth to his lungs evolved into elves, his heart evolved into giants, his liver evolved into tree men, his head evolved into dragons, his kidneys evolved into feathered serpents, his hair evolved into phoenixes, his ears evolved into a demon wolf, his mouth and teeth evolved into alien species, his remaining body fluids evolved into sea monsters, the essence of which was Naga, his stomach, his small intestines and large intestines, and the evil parts of his body evolved into demons, evil spirits, and all kinds of unknown evil existences. His spirit turned into the eternal blazing sun, the Lord of storms, the God of knowledge and wisdom. Human beings were born from his wisdom. This is the first era, the Chaos era. Well, it's like a myth. Those who didn't know thought it was Pangu who created the world. What else is there to say? At the end of the second era, the goddess of the night awakened, and together with other gods, protected mankind through the great cataclysm, which is the so-called third era, the era of catastrophe. Anyway, it's just some ghosts and ghosts. It's not very clear what it looks like. The dark goddess is the Lord of Crimson, which symbolizes the red moon. The red moon is derived from the Creator. Therefore, humans and gods actually have the same origin. It's just that human beings were born from the wisdom of the Creator. They have brains but no magical powers. However, because they have the same origin, according to this theory, human beings under the blessing of gods gradually become stronger in the process of fighting against giants, demons, and alien species. Found a way to gain extraordinary power. Just use the corresponding parts of evil spirits, dragons, monsters, magical trees, flowers, or crystals, and mix them with other materials to make them, then take them and absorb them to master different powers. This is the so-called transcendent. In the same way, people should not take anything beyond their rank. If you take it, you will only end up with three. Either the spirit dies, the body collapses, and every piece of flesh becomes a monster. Or because of the power of the potion, his personality changes and he becomes a ruthless, cruel, and irritable guy. Cultivation is risky, so be careful when taking potions. And the so-called sealed objects are guarded by the Nighthawks, kept strictly confidential, and sealed behind a certain door. There is also a saying about this so-called sealed object. In fact, they are items with magical powers. Of course, the reason why they are called sealed objects, good money, is because these things not only possess magical power, but also have stronger side effects. Behind all the gifts of destiny, the price is marked. Therefore, these magical items need to be sealed. Use numerical codes to distinguish. From the end of the Fourth Age to the beginning of the Fifth Age, the Church of the Seven Gods formed a unified nomenclature, starting with 0, 1, 2, 3 to identify different hazard levels. Level 0 means extremely dangerous, with the highest level of attention and confidentiality. It cannot be inquired about, told outside, described, or spied on. It is said to be some terrible items that can destroy the country or even the world. 0 level sealed objects of major Zhengshen churches. The quantity is between 5 and 8 pieces. Corresponds to angels and above. Level 1 is highly dangerous and can be used to a limited extent. It corresponds to the person of the saint. Level 2 is dangerous, use it with caution and restraint. Corresponds to the bits in the sequence. Level 3 is somewhat dangerous and must be used with caution. It requires the actions of 3 or more people to apply. It corresponds to a low sequence position. For example, there is a very heaven-defying sealed artifact. This sealed artifact is classified as 0, and because there are other sealed objects, they need to be numbered, such as 0-01, or 0-02 group. The same is true for level 1 sealed objects, such as 1-01 or 1-02, etc. The Church of the Seven Gods is at 0 level 0 and 1 level. Sealed objects will notify each other and tell each other what they have. Therefore, the code names of 0 level and 1 level will not be repeated, while 2 level and 3 level will be ranked separately. Different churches may have the same code name. Just seeing this, countless people in the world still don't know why. Knowing the concept and knowing the sealed object itself are completely two different feelings. Countless people are thinking and thinking about the same time. All over the world, there has been a heated discussion about this sealed object. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 154. Sealed object. This should be no different from a normal magic weapon, right? Different, since this thing can be called a sealed object, it must be more than just a magic weapon. After all, magic weapons don't need to be sealed, right? Indeed, the magic weapon does not need to be sealed, and the magic weapon has no side effects. This sealed object should be even more unique. By the way, magic weapons also cost money, either mana or blood essence. There is no price. Why do you control the magic weapon? It's so funny. Isn't that the normal remuneration? Indeed, this is not a price at all, it is just a reward. The concepts of magic weapons and sealed objects are the same. You just need to think of this sealed object as a magic weapon with side effects. There is nothing wrong with saying that, but the only question is, what are the side effects of this sealed artifact? I don't know, maybe I'm blind, or maybe I've lost some other feeling. It's possible. At this moment, countless people were discussing. Because something interesting finally appeared in this world. At this time, countless people looked at the Avenue Gold list again and looked into the picture. As Klein learned about the so-called seal after the origin of the so-called magic potion. It was at this time that he saw Russell's diary on Neil's side. According to legend, in order to keep it secret, the notes recorded by Russell were all marked with strange symbols invented by himself. Writing. Many people who fanatically worship Russell believe that he did not really die, but became a secret infiltration spirit. Since then, they have begun to hold various rituals in an attempt to gain power. They can always get Russell in the hands of those guys. The manuscript or original notes of the Emperor's notes. But to this day, no one has ever been able to decipher the true meaning of these symbols. Therefore, they, the Nighthawks, can keep copies in the hope of researching new things. Then, Nier showed a proud smile and said, I have decoded several of the symbols and confirmed that they are expressions of numbers. Look, what did I find? This is actually a diary. I actually want to use historical events from different dates, especially things around Emperor Russell, to compare with the diary, so as to interpret more symbols. Journal, Klein was stunned. Isn't it a genius idea? Old Neil asked with a smile. Yes, Klein nodded in agreement. At this time, Old Neil handed the paper over again and said with a smile, haha, you can also take a look. You will have to watch 870 seem to help me with this work tomorrow. Klein nodded, just glanced at it, and then froze in place. Although these symbols were copied very ugly and were a little deformed, he was very sure that he would never get it wrong. This is what he is most familiar with. The text. Chinese. And it's simplified Chinese. At this moment, countless people in the world were stunned. Good guy, this Russell is undoubtedly a time traveler. Is it okay for an iron traveler to be a fellow countryman? Gee, I think Emperor Russell's diary is Klein's golden finger. Wouldn't it be possible to directly jump to the top by translating Emperor Russell's diary? It's so funny, if anyone knew that he was a time traveler, they would have started dissecting him long ago. It's not the same, after all, now everyone in the world knows that he is a time traveler. Ha ha ha, indeed, he is the son of fate after all, who dares to take action against Klein. By the way, does any brother know the words above? This Chinese? I can't understand this simplified Chinese character at all. Tisk, then you have to find a time traveler. Simplified Chinese characters? Tisk tisk, copy it quickly, maybe you can find the time traveler in the future, and if you find the time traveler, you can find the child of destiny. Hey, you're a humming genius. At this moment, countless people were discussing. For all the worlds, they naturally don't recognize this simplified Chinese character, it's very strange and very vague. After all, this is not a divine pattern, and there is no magic in knowing its meaning at a glance. Power. These are just Russell's notes, or notes copied by someone. At this time, Jishan world. Yafan looked at the picture in the Dao Golden List, looked at the diary, raised his eyebrows slightly, and looked a little weird. Good guy, are these really simplified Chinese characters? He comes from the earth, so he naturally knows what these words mean. What does this mean? At this time, the ruthless emperor on the side also spoke quietly, looking at the words of Emperor Russell on the Dao Golden List, and asked in a low voice. Although there is only a slight difference between the languages of the Baidu Star territory and the Earth, the words are different. Let alone simplified Chinese characters. Cruel people can't understand it. Of course, if you give her time, she can also figure it out, CGCJ, but since Yafan is around, just ask Yafan. Um. Yefan looked at the Deo gold list, looked at the diary in the picture, and read out softly, November 18th was really a magical thing. A whimsical experiment and an accidental mistake made me discover something. A poor guy trapped in the storm and lost in the depths of darkness. He can only get a little closer to the real world during the full moon of every month, but he still cannot convey his call. He is lucky. I am the protagonist of this era. Fighting world. After writing the above paragraph, I read it to myself, and suddenly I felt a little sad. Even if I use Chinese characters, I have unknowingly adopted a strong translation accent. 40 years have passed in a blink of an eye. The memories of the past are really like dreams. Xiao Yan read the diary in a low voice. Both Yezun and Xiao Suner cast curious glances. Xiao Suner subconsciously asked brother Xiao Yan, "Do you understand?" Xiao Yan smiled awkwardly. As a time traveler, why can't he understand simplified Chinese characters? Girl, you may have forgotten that your brother Xiao Yan is also a time traveler. Yezun said with a smile. That's right too, Xiao Suner stuck out her tongue, a little embarrassed. Boy Yan, what did you say next? Who is this being? Yao Zun looked at Xiao Yan, and urged Xiao Yan to quickly translate. Xiao Yan looked at the golden list of the avenue and continued to read. January 1, 1184, the Grand New Year's Party. Flonar Madam is such a stunner. Stunner? What means? Xiao Suner blinked and asked curiously. Forehead. Xiao Yan was stunned. For a moment, he didn't know how to describe it. He was a little embarrassed. But silence is the best explanation. Xiao Suner's face slowly turned red. Gu world. January 2nd, the gentlemen of my Foreign Affairs Committee are jackasses. Gu. Yu Fang Yuan murmured, looking at the strange yet familiar handwriting in the picture, feeling a little emotional. 40 years, you have traveled through 40 years, and you already think it is a dream, but 500 years. 500 years. He looked complicated. Russell traveled through 40 years and still had this emotion. And he, after traveling through 500 years, his heart was already as cold as a knife. Stunner. Ass. Ha, it's really a world of different styles. Immediately, he continued to look down on January 3rd, the original choice was still too hasty. Now it seems that whether it is the apprentice, the diviner, or even the thief, they are all better. It's a pity, there is no way to look back. In a prehistoric world composed of a certain universe. A thief? Apprentice? Which sequence of gods does this correspond to? Li Changshao frowned. Just by reading from beginning to end, he only knew the name of sequence 0 of the 22 god sequences. He really didn't know the name of sequence 9 at the beginning. He thought about it, then shook his head. He continued reading. January 4th, why are my kids so stupid? I've said it 1,000 times, don't be fooled by those magicians. No. Those magicians may have been deceived themselves. The key to potions is not mastering them, but digesting them. It's not digging, it's acting. The name of the potion is not only a core symbol, but also a specific image, and it is also the key to digestion. At this moment, with countless people looking at the Grand Avenue gold list. At the same time, the contents of Emperor Russell's diary roughly appeared in the picture. On September 22nd, an alliance against me was being established. From Fuzak in the north, Rhone in the east, and Fenibot in the south, my enemies finally came together, but I was not afraid. I will tell them with facts that the generational difference in weapons and knowledge cannot be made up by the number of people and low-level sequencers. Besides, it's not like I don't have no subordinates, and the high-end ones, haha, have they forgotten who I am? September 24th, Miss Ithaca is more charming than Mrs. Fresnel. Perhaps I am just nostalgic for my youth. At this moment, along with Klein's interpretation. Even in all the worlds, countless people were popularizing Emperor Russell's diary. Finally, someone understood its meaning. Immediately. Like Klein, one by one it's a laugh. Good fellow, Mrs. Fresnel. Miss Ithaca? This Emperor Russell is in his 40s or 50s, but he is still so capable. Cowhide, what kind of Emperor Russell is this? How about the Golden Gun King? It's so funny that Emperor Russell came here just to conquer women. Oh, sure enough, Emperor Russell's diary is Klein's golden finger. The key to potions is not mastering them, but digesting them. It's not digging, it's acting. And the name of the potion is not only a core symbol, but also a specific image, and it is also the key to digestion? What does it mean? Well, according to the literal meaning, it should be said that no matter which sequence you are in, no matter which sequence you take, if you want to fully digest this magic potion, you have to play the relevant characters. For example, the fortune teller has to play fortune teller. Only if you become a fortune teller will you know what a fortune teller is. If you are a thief, you have to steal. Only in this way can you become a better thief. The same goes for the apprentice. No matter what kind of apprentice you become, as long as you are an apprentice, then you are an apprentice. So abstract. Very abstract indeed. If I want to practice the 72 transformations, should I also take the route of causing havoc in the heavenly palace? Laughing to death, if you dare to cause trouble in the heavenly palace, you will be the one who dies in the next second. The practice system in this world, how should I put it, just feels a little weird. In other words, in this sequence system, which one corresponds to which one? At this moment, countless people are discussing. At this moment, it can be seen that Klein is also full of doubts in the picture. He wants to know who the poor guy is. He also wants to know what digestion and acting specifically mean. Also, where is the God-forsaken land? Countless questions filled Klein's mind. He also wanted more notes. Unfortunately, old Neil told him that there were not that many. Finally, Klein was he joined the Nighthawks team and became a civilian. At the same time, Klein also began to formally understand the sequence. According to the captain's situation, he learned that the captain's sequence was the sleepless one. Sequence 9, sleepless one, sequence 8, midnight poet, sequence 7, nightmare. Different sequences have different abilities. Sequence 9, sleepless one, can see through the darkness without light. The deeper the night, the more powerful it is, including power, inspiration, thinking, etc., and can discover what is hidden in the night danger. You don't need to sleep at night, and you only need to sleep for 3 to 4 hours during the day. Sequence 8, midnight poet, good at fighting, shooting, climbing and sensing. He has high inspiration and is also good at using different styles of poems to describe the surroundings. Causes different effects on the living beings. Sequence 7, nightmare, can freely enter and exit the dream of every sleeping person within a large range, and can also force people into dreams, can force other people into dreams, directly drag people into dreams. There is a range limit, which often only appears in head-to-head confrontations, but it does not have to be face-to-face to try this ability. Certain effects can be obtained within 100 meters, but it takes time and process, and cannot be completed at once, just like in It's Like Putting a Child to Sleep. Klein was non-committal about this. He didn't think he was suitable for the sleepless man sequence. In the end, he continued to ask something else. He learned about the secret peeper who has many interesting magic rituals. He also knew about a sequence 7 psychic. It's not very complete anyway. In the end, Klein chose the divination sequence. This divination sequence was in line with his expectations. Of course, Russell also mentioned in the diary that this fortune teller is very good. Just knowing this is enough. So, he became a diviner. The ability of a diviner, to be able to master astrology, card divination, pendulum, spiritual vision, etc., and many similar abilities. Of course, it is not possible to take magic potion, understand and master these abilities immediately. The potion only gives the user the qualifications and abilities to learn these. But similarly, diviners lack direct means of confronting enemies, and ritual magic requires too much preparation and is not suitable for encounters. Correspondingly, in terms of occult knowledge, the diviner will be more knowledgeable and professional than the secret peeper. The materials for refining the magic potion are: main material, 10 ml of Rava octopus blood, add 50 grams of crystal. Auxiliary material, 100 ml of pure water, add 13 drops of night vanilla juice, add 7 golden mint leaves, add 3 drops of poisonous pansy juice, add 9 grams of dragon blood grass. Finally, the diviner's potion was put into the dry pot in order. Soon, the potion was okay. And the dark blue liquid also appeared in front of Klein. At this moment, Klein looked at the dark blue liquid, his eyes flickering. Today, he has finally become a true transcendent. Sequence 9, Soothsayer. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 155. Good guy, can you directly become a transcendent? Can you become a supernatural being by drinking a magic potion? No need to practice. No skills required. No need to test spiritual roots. No need to test talent. Does this mean he directly becomes a fortune teller? Good guy, in this world, is it so easy to become an extraordinary person? I'm envious. Doesn't this mean that everyone in this world has the opportunity to become a transcendent? No, not necessarily. As you can see, the God sequence is not a good profession. At least, there are certain risks. What's more, there is a certain risk of going crazy while practicing the exercises. If you are timid, don't practice. Yes, if you are timid, don't practice. Anyway, I don't care, brothers, I'm going to find something first and rush. I also want to try and see if our world can also become this so-called fortune teller. Don't try it randomly, brothers. When the time comes, you won't even know how you will die. Yes, the laws of the world are different, the rules are different, and you won't even know how you died when you die. Tisk, to be honest, I am really moved. The main material is 10 ml of Rava octopus blood. Although there is no Rava octopus in our world, this octopus is an extraordinary creature, equivalent to a monster in our world. Just find a monster and no blood essence is needed. Just try it with ordinary blood. There is also the star crystal, which is an excellent material for divination crystals. If divination is concerned, it should be related to deduction. It just so happens that our world has some kind of divination crystal, and that 100 milliliters of pure water. This is simple, that night vanilla, haha, just right. There happens to be a night vanilla in my world. I think it should have similar effects. There are also golden mint leaves and poisonous violet juice. They are everywhere. There is also the dragon's blood grass, tisk, this dragon's blood grass, I don't need too much, brothers, I've got it. Ha ha ha, exactly the same, almost exactly the same, even the colors are the same. Tisk, good guy, did you really get it out of me? Worry, is it true or false? Fellow Taoist, please don't lie to me. Brothers, why are you lying to me? Stop talking, I'll drink it first. From now on, Pandeo has dual professions, sequence 9, fortune teller. Tisk, drink. Hurry. Come on, do you feel anything? Did you get any improvement after drinking it? Fellow, where are people? Hurry, come out and say a few words. Hey, this fellow Taoist is probably going to get mad. Gee, I feel cold too. Indeed, the most important thing is the blood of Narrow octopus and the star crystal. If you mess around, there will always be problems. According to my analysis, the blood of the Rava octopus only contains mysterious power, which is equivalent to the aura of our world. The Rava octopus is not the main one, the main thing is the star crystal, and the star crystal is mainly for divination. Only this is linked to divination. It is indeed the case. By the way, where is that fellow Taoist? Hurry, haven't you tried it yet? Oh, shit, my boy couldn't hold on anymore and turned into an octopus monster. Worry, you are such an old yinbai, I thought you drank it yourself, but it turned out that it was given to your child. Phew, ha ha ha, you made me laugh so hard, you old bastard, I really thought you drank it yourself. What the hell, are you going to harm the boy? A cup of tea in silence for that boy. Fellow Taoist, you are really cruel. Hee hee, I succeeded. Ha ha ha, I succeeded. I have become a fortune teller, ha 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 ha. Fellow Taoist, what are you talking about? Ga. Laughing to death, another one is crazy. Sure enough, the world is different, the world system is different, the rules are different, and the laws are different. If we want to use things from other worlds, we don't have to see if God allows it. That is, where do you put the way of heaven? Not necessarily. Different worlds actually have different rules. You in the Eastern continent can't do it, but in our Western continent, let alone, it really can. Worry, is it true or false? What is fake is also true, and what is true is also false. In fact, fellow Taoists, if you want to successfully study this kind of divine sequence, you can actually create a small world by yourself. In the small world, add some laws and some sequences, create the world by yourself, maybe you can actually create it. When this kind of world comes, when the time comes, tisk tisk. What this fellow Taoist said makes sense. Tisk, from now on, I will call this small world the mysterious immortal, hee hee. Damn it, we are going to cause trouble to this small world again. Can you guys be normal? At this moment, countless people in the heavens and all realms are discussing and talking about. At this time, in the mortal world, do you want to try it? Forget it, the laws of the world are different, the rules are different, even if you figure it out, it will be specious. Han Li shook his head. Even if he succeeds, so what? This mysterious continent is too conflicting with their world, completely different. So, it's better not to do those things. Besides, he doesn't think this fortune teller can be as good as him. He is strong in cultivating immortals. A diviner can master astrology, card divination, pendulum, spiritual vision, and many other similar abilities. However, when he cultivates immortals, he can make casual calculations and then use his supernatural powers and spiritual consciousness to check. It is no better than this. The diviner is weak. So, why bother to follow the path of a diviner? The style of painting is completely different. Unless, one day, he takes charge of the way of heaven and becomes the leader of the way of heaven, maybe he can give it a try. For now, forget it, got it? At the same time, the world is covered. These things. Yafan looked at the blue potion in his hand and felt the mysterious power coming from the potion. Yes, he also got it. These things are really not difficult to obtain. There are many things here. Have. He got it out? Carefully observing the energy in the blue liquid, he shook his head and smiled. Sure enough, it was still different, completely different, the world system was different, the laws were different. Even if it was figured out, it would still be something specious. He could feel that the power coming from this potion was neither strong nor weak. However, he speculated a little about what would happen after drinking this thing. Well, if he drinks it himself, it will be absorbed directly. It will be absorbed as spiritual energy or something like that. It will have no other effects at all and no side effects. Much worse than any elixir or liquid. But if this thing were given to ordinary people to drink, tisk, maybe they would be directly poisoned to death by the poisonous viola juice in this liquid. Even if you are not poisoned to death, you may still be exploded by the power of dragon blood in the dragon blood grass. Anyway, it is impossible to become a fortune teller. This path is obviously not feasible in their world. The sequence of gods. Their world does not have this path to the god sequence. There's no way around it. Unless a strong man forcibly opens this road and leaves his mark on the world and the way of heaven, then the latecomers may take this road. Now, obviously not. At this time, in a prehistoric world composed of a certain universe. Well, this road, Li Changshao looked at the various materials in the picture. He has it too. The corresponding materials were also placed in front of him. To be honest, he wanted to do it directly. But then, he frowned again, and for a moment, he was silent. Senior brother, do you want to refine that diviner sequence? Lingyi looked at Li Changshao curiously. Li Changshao was speechless. What kind of fortune teller sequence? He wanted to do it. However, he would be warned by heaven if he used the method of golden elixir. Now he is trying to get the fortune teller sequence. Is Tiandao looking for trouble? When the time comes, Dao ancestor will strike down with the divine thunder, and he may die without knowing how. Even the son of luck cannot bear it. To be honest, Li Changshao feels that in this prehistoric world, there is no way he can survive. He can really figure out this diviner sequence. After all, the prehistoric world contains 3,000 avenues. He can find this diviner sequence with a little calculation. In the end, he will directly walk on one path, master this path, and become the spokesperson of Tao. And in the prehistoric world, the 3,000 avenues are all included. It is not impossible to divide one of the Tao into the sequence of gods. But the only problem is that the way of heaven does not allow it. Oh, it cannot be said that the way of heaven is not allowed. Allowed, it should be said, Dao ancestor does not allow it. This is the reality. Unless, he can transcend the way of heaven and press Dao ancestor to the ground. Ahem. Li Changshao quickly extinguished the dangerous thoughts in his mind, and with a wave of his hand, the material disappeared. He disappeared, then looked at Lingyi with a smile and said, Lingyi, be good, keep copying the Wenzi Sutra. Lingyi? At this moment, in all the worlds, because of the fortune teller sequence materials, countless people began to try it, and countless people were also discussing it wildly. Some people succeed and some people fail. Some people scolded me. In short, the world at this moment is in chaos. Asking for flowers. At this moment, it can be seen that in the Grand Avenue Gold List, as Klein became a fortune teller and became a sequence 9, the whispers in his ears appeared. After overcoming them, he finally unlocked some extraordinary abilities. The so-called spiritual vision. That is, you can see something similar to a spirit body and an existence similar to an aura. It can be compared to the art of chi reading, which is exactly the same. You can also see some things that cannot be seen with the naked eye. The coming time can be regarded as some kind of celestial eye, yin and yang eye, etc. Of course, you can also see your emotional and physical states, etc. After learning all kinds of knowledge, Klein returned home, and it was time for the Tarot Club meeting again. It's also above the grey fog. Still Miss Justice, still the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man gave the audience's potion formula to Miss Justice and asked her to master the method. At the same time, Klein also handed over the acting method to the two of them to further show off and create their own image of gods. The Hanged Man suddenly understood, and became more and more respectful to the fool, and asked the fool if he needed help. In order not to expose the fact that he was trash, Klein didn't say anything too easy. He just asked them to help collect Emperor Russell's diary. After that, Miss Justice and the hanged man began to exchange information again. Klein naturally started to show off again, talking about reforming the system, civil servants, etc. Hearing Miss Justice's words, his eyes lit up. This time the party ended because of Klein's pretense. Back to reality. On the other side, Miss Justice and the hanged man really have the diary of Emperor Russell. Soon, the diary fell into Klein's hands. You can't be my 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. On April 11th, I discovered an unnamed island that is not on the safe channel. There are many extraordinary species on it. No, I prefer to call them extraordinary species, which is more authentic. In addition to them, there are many strange creatures on the island. I think if Darwin traveled through time, he would definitely not be able to write the theory of evolution. On April 15th, Green became a little weird. Was he infected by something? On October 2nd, they actually decided to get me engaged to Matilda of the Abel family without consulting me in advance. Oh my gosh, I haven't even met her yet. No, I want to refuse. Even if I run away from home, even if I become self-reliant and suffer all kinds of oppression, I will still resist this arranged marriage. October 5th, Miss Matilda is so beautiful. On October 6th, her personality and temperament are what I like. I am starting to look forward to our marriage. On October 9th, they actually called me Son of Steam, and I loved it. In this case, it is better to make yourself stronger and go back on your own strength. Therefore, the complete sequence is the primary factor I consider, a difficult goal. Did I mention the acting? This may be the key to solving the hidden dangers of potions. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 156. At this moment, countless people in the world are looking at Russell's diary. Looking at the contents in the diary, everyone looked weird. This Emperor Russell, what the hell, where is his moral integrity? What about integrity? LOL. I was talking about boycotting arranged marriages earlier, but in the blink of an eye, when I saw someone beautiful, I became a bitch. The new sequence of gods, the universal one? Gee, I don't know what kind of existence this universal person will become in the end. This generalist looks a bit similar to the diviner, and seems to be similar in some aspects. Could it be that in the future, this generalist and the diviner can exchange systems? Maybe it's the right one, just a blind guess. This generalist, the last one, is the door. What kind of person has nothing to do with the door? This knowledgeable person has nothing to do with the door. Haha, what is the relationship between soothsayers and fools? That is, there is still so much difference between sequence 9 and sequence 0. Who knows what other systems are in between? Potion, play. Tisk, there is something in this world, although it seems that the combat power is only average now, but thinking about it, there is a high probability that the combat power will be improved in the future. I actually want to know what the sealed object is. I don't know what the sealed artifact is, but it must be very powerful. What the hell, are you talking nonsense? At this moment, countless people are discussing. Immediately, continue to look at the Avenue Gold list. As Klein read Emperor Russell's diary, he naturally had other ideas. Likewise, some clues about the second sacrilegious tablet were obtained from the hanged man. After that, countless people saw it, and Klein began to familiarize himself with the diviner sequence. When he saw a fortune teller club, he wanted to join, but when he saw the cost of joining, he gave up decisively. In this matter, it's old Neil's help. Teach him how to reimburse public expenses through the 680 office and so on. Klein smiled evilly and understood the essence of private use of public funds. Write the application letter on the same day and enter the club for free. At this time, the scene changed. A guest came to the Blackthorn Security Company. This customer's son has been kidnapped. Other security companies have no time, so they have to find this Blackthorn Security Company. The Blackthorn Security Company, on the surface, is an ordinary security company, but in fact, this is the Nighthawks base in Tingen City. That is, Klein's Nighthawks team. Normally, they would take action in this kind of thing. After all, it's good to make extra money. Of course, this requires sufficient manpower. And now, that's when we have enough manpower. So, let Klein from Sequence 9 and Leonard from Sequence 8 Midnight Poet take action at the same time. The two of them took action, and it was natural that they would be able to catch them. But at night, Klein dreamed of the Antigonus family notes, and opened the page with the fool drawn on it. There is also a line written below. Everyone dies, including me. Klein was sweating profusely. He frowned and began to use divination to make calculations. In the end, it was discovered that it was no coincidence that the notes of the Antigonus family were probably in the room opposite the kidnapper. He immediately reported it to the captain. Soon, everyone set off, but no notes were found, only clues about Ruylbig. Thanks to the efforts of all parties, some clues about the notes have finally been restored. Ruylbig was Hoyi of the Antigonus family. The original owner of the body that day, Klein, was bewitched by the notes of the Antigonus family and sent it to Ruylbig's residence. Klein suddenly realized that part of his memory was lost due to the influence of his notes. But he always felt that the truth of this matter was far more complicated than imagined. It was impossible to say that there was a bigger conspiracy hidden behind it. Let's talk about the notes first. Backlund Parish attaches great importance to this and sent sealed artifact 2-049 to Tingen City, hoping to catch Ruylbig as soon as possible and find the Antigonus family's notes. This matter has come to an end for now. Klein returned to normal life again and went to the fortune teller club in his spare time. He plays the role of a fortune teller, fortune telling for others so that he can better digest potions. Acting is the best way to digest it. At this time, you can see that as soon as the scene turns, you can see that Klein summarizes the mysterious knowledge he has learned during this period. Looking at the ritual magic incantation, he suddenly slapped his thigh and found that this magic could be used by him. Since Mr. Fool's identity is unfathomable, he imitated the god's way of honoring names and drafted a name for himself. A fool who does not belong to this era, you are the mysterious master above the gray fog, you are the yellow and black king who controls good luck. Then, he told the hanged man and Miss Justice about this incantation. Sure enough, as long as he recited this incantation silently, Klein could indeed receive the message. When someone recited his honorable name, a reaction would occur. And he could enter gray fog space gives the answer. At this moment, everyone in the world was a little surprised when they saw this scene. A fool who does not belong to this era, you are the mysterious master above the gray fog, you are the yellow and black king who controls good luck. I am calling you here, please answer me. Huh? Why is it useless? It's so funny, across all the worlds, you don't even know how far away your world is from that mysterious continent, how do people answer you? Ha ha ha, that is, even if people hear it, they won't want to pay attention to you, right? Oh, why don't you want to pay attention to me? Our world is about martial arts. Think about it, if you give Klein a training method, and Klein practices martial arts and then loses focus, wouldn't he be directly invincible? Directly invincible? Tisk tisk, that's a good idea, don't think about it next time. Tisk, what is this? This is a phone. Is it okay to call directly? Alas, it is still convenient in the Western world. People can feel this honorable name as soon as it is called. This is much more convenient than making a phone call. Haha, Not only in the Western continent, but in our Eastern continent, you can also call some powerful people and call your true name, and it will still be felt by others. Then why didn't Tais Hang Lejun answer my call? Damn you, why did Tais Hang Daezu answer your call? Come on, recite my true name, I will come to all worlds. Tisk, then I might as well recite Fang Han's true name. Maybe, I can get eternal life. At this moment, countless people in the world are becoming more and more stupid. At the same time, the mysterious continent, the god-forsaken land of the eastern continent. Well, on the vast land, Amon stepped out across an incalculable distance. When he saw Klein's honorable name on the Avenue Gold list, he suddenly smiled. The title of a god. He adjusted his single-frame glasses and whispered softly, "You are a fool who does not belong to this era. You are the mysterious master above the gray fog. You are the king of yellow and black who controls good luck." Buzz. At the same time, there seemed to be red light and gray mist around him. Vaguely, he seemed to feel that he was in contact with someone. Amon smiled. He raised his head slightly and looked at the sky. Above, looking towards the gray fog, I saw the fool sitting on the chair. "Hello, Lord Fool," Amon chuckled, took off his hat and put it on his chest, giving a slight salute. Whoosh, however, the next second, the gray mist around him seemed to feel something. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared. Tisk. It's just a hello, why be so scared, Amon chuckled. At the same time, the northern continent. At this moment, as his title was exposed on the Grand Avenue Gold list, Klein really had a headache. He was above the gray fog, feeling that everything was happening all over the world. While chanting his name, others were dumbfounded. The most important thing is, who was that from before? His face changed again and again, thinking of the guy with the single-sided glasses. Although the guy was smiling, Klein felt that the guy was exuding malice. Read the cool novels and go up to Flylu Novel Network, looks like a gentleman, but he is like his enemy. His heart is heavy, and at the same time, he also has a headache. Being targeted by that kind of guy? He has a big head. He feels that the world we live in is a little different from other people's worlds. It's like these guys don't know what kind of existence the Son of Destiny is. Are they madly provoking him, the Son of Destiny? Damn it, wait until I get stronger, Klein silently cursed in his heart. There was no other way. Now that he was exposed on the Avenue Gold list, it seemed that he could only change his title. Well, let's block these guys' silent prayers for the time being. At this moment, Klein couldn't hold back his ears. Those disgusting murmurs beside him, he blocked all these things in the blink of an eye. It was not until the murmurs in his ears completely disappeared that he breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it seems that we have to be more careful. Klein returned to reality, walked out of the bathroom, looked at the Avenue Gold list, and took a deep breath. Now, he must always be careful. But at this moment, along with all the heavens and the world, countless people chanted the venerable name to no avail. They looked at the Avenue Gold list again, and at this time, they could see that in the picture, Klein's life had returned to peace. He would go to the club to eat and drink from time to time. Of course, he also makes guest appearances from time to time as a fortune teller. Naturally, many people came to him for divination. Whatever business you do, you can also do divination. Of course, the most important thing is the divination of a nightmare. Some people have nightmares all night long and hope that Klein can help interpret their dreams. Klein crossed his hands and guided with the unique tone of a magic stick. The main culprit behind the alfalfa chaos was Tries. Sure enough, when Klein returned to the company, he received a wanted warrant handed to him by the captain. That wanted poster depicts none other than Tries, the creator of the Alfalfa tragedy and the instigator of Sequence 8. This Tries is from the Gnostic Society. Klein was very confused about this. Dunn remembered that he seemed to have not told Klein any information about the secret organization. That is, let Klein go to the data room to read it by himself. Here, he saw more sequences of gods. What he wants to know most is naturally the fortune teller. But sequence 8 and sequence 7 behind the fortune teller have no corresponding potion names. However, he also roughly saw some corresponding performances. Sequence 8, the name of the potion is unknown. It corresponds to extraordinary people who are good at skillful combat and are very cunning. Klein feels weird about being good at fighting. But he is also somewhat unwilling to admit his cunning. Keep watching. Sequence 7, the name of the corresponding potion is unknown. The corresponding extraordinary person has mastered many quick cast spells, combining his own fighting skills with supernatural power. Well, Klein is very satisfied with sequence 7. This sequence was first formed in the Zaratul family of the Solomon Empire. In the disputes of the Fourth Age, the family was not completely destroyed. Their names can still be heard occasionally in the history of the Fifth Age. It is suspected to be related to there is a certain connection with the ancient organization Secret Hermits. Klein's pupils shrank. Zaratul. He had only seen this name in Emperor Russell's diary before. For a moment, Klein thought a lot. Immediately, he set his sights on other sequences of gods. The Sailor sequence belongs to the Lord of Storms. The Lord of Storms and the Nighthawks are old enemies. Therefore, this kind of information is quite detailed. Sequence 9 Sailor, known as the sea favorite in ancient times. Possess excellent power. He is as flexible as a sea creature in the water. Even without any equipment, he can dive for at least 10 minutes. Extraordinary ability. Balance, possessing excellent balance ability, even on a ship shrouded in storm, he can walk freely on the ground. Magic scales, hidden under the skin, making people as hard to catch as a fish. Sequence 8 Angry people, ancient storm guard, when angry, can explode much beyond normal attacks. Both strength and speed will be greatly improved. Sequence 7 Navigators, known as storm priests in ancient times. They are scholars of astronomy and geography. They are familiar with magnetic fields and ocean currents, wind directions, and clouds are all intuitively grasped. Ships with navigators will never get lost on the sea. Their calculation power, memory, and judgment of distances are strengthened. They are higher-level favored ones of the ocean, and they are in the sea they will be improved in all aspects. They are friends of water and can move freely underwater for more than half an hour, with limited facilities. This navigator is so powerful, Klein thought. Immediately, Klein found the advanced sequence of the audience. Sequence 9 Audience. With outstanding spirit and keen observation ability of 4.8, like a bystander, he examines the actors in secular society and learns from them. Their expressions, their behavior, their mouth habits, and their unknown actions can reveal their true thoughts, thereby subtly influencing and secretly guiding things to develop in the direction you want. You can see the other party's purpose, but it does not mean that you can figure out the specific details. Sequence 8, Mind Reader. Observation is no longer limited to surface details, but goes deep into mysterious fields such as the aura and etheric body. The combination of the two allows the mind reader to grasp the human heart with unusual accuracy, seems to be able to read the other party's thoughts. It is difficult to have secrets in front of a mind reader. Not only can it directly see the target's aura and emotional color, read shallow thoughts, but it can also initially simulate other people's thinking. Knowing what kind of emotional reaction should occur in any situation, and knowing what kind of detailed expressions and body movements should be included in what kind of emotional reaction, are the basic skills of a mind reader. Sequence 7, Psychiatrist, known as psychoanalyst in ancient times. Physical changes: he is healthier. Although he has no obvious muscles, his strength and speed are much stronger than before. His eyesight has improved again, and he can even see objects hidden in the dark. His sense of smell can distinguish more subtle smells, thereby grasping the target's truest emotions and thoughts, and taking a step further on the previous basis, it can begin to directly affect the target. It is impossible to leak something by accident. Every word they say is in their hearts. After careful consideration, it is difficult to get secrets from them unless they have other motives. Oh, extraordinary people who are hard to find, Klein commented after reading the above. At this moment, he suddenly thought of something and hurriedly opened the chapter on Church of the God of Steam and Machinery. If he remembers correctly, this is Emperor Russell's sequence of the Church of the God of Steam and Machinery. The Enlightenment. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 157. Emperor Russell, the General Knowledge Sequence. Klein opened it and looked at it intently. Just see. Sequence 9, generalists only have extraordinary abilities of memory, learning and practice, believe that knowledge is power, have a rough understanding of mysticism, and are more proficient in aquaregia, nitroglycerin, and complex gear devices, etc. They seem to know everything. The core ability is to awaken memory and remember all the knowledge you have read. At the same time, it also improves understanding and learning abilities. Sequence 8, archaeologist has sufficient historical knowledge, wilderness survival knowledge, and taboo knowledge related to ruins. It has a strong enough body and ability to face all this, but this is not its area of expertise and is incidental. Only barely able to apply some ritual magic. Sequence 7, appraiser can quickly identify magical items. Can intuitively grasp the abilities and problems of most extraordinary items, and can use them to avoid danger as much as possible. Well, only sequence 7, Klein thought. His authority is not enough, and the data channels involved are only sequence 7. To be honest, he was itching to see what was behind. He had no choice but to continue browsing other professions. For example, sequence 9 corpse collector is followed by sequence 8 grave digger and sequence 7 psychic. I learned that the sequence 8 of secret peeper was missing. Not only did it not have a name, but the corresponding description was also blank. However, the sequence 7 record contained the name of the potion, sequence 7 wizard. Then, Klein searched for the apprentice and thief that Emperor Russell had been obsessed with. Sequence 9 apprentice, the ability is quite strange. It can only be determined that they are the beginning of a mage school. They are rarely trapped and difficult to be blocked. They always have a way to escape and pass. Sequence 8 spell master, masters a variety of strange but not powerful spells. Sequence 9 thieves, it is difficult to distinguish these extraordinary people from ordinary thieves and thieves. Maybe they will be more powerful in their methods, and their purpose of stealing property is not for enjoyment or survival, but more like fulfilling their obligations. A mission. Sequence 8 scammer, enjoys 05 deceiving others. In addition, the action is agile and fast. This. Klein thought. Seeing this scam, he felt that this was no longer acting, but a bit like being dominated by a scam. However, he shook his head. Soon, he saw the so-called instigator. Sequence 9, assassin. Can change the body in a short period of time, gain feather-like lightness, and solidify the eyesight and dark vision of an owl. They are good at fighting and dodging. Each assassin is good at hiding in the shadows, has dexterous steps and bursts out all his power. The ability within one hit. Sequence 8, instigator. He is good at inducing the desires in everyone's heart, good at intensifying contradictions, provoking conflicts, and creating murders. The description is not detailed enough. He thought about it, and finally saw the part of the Gnostic Society that the so-called instigator was involved in. The Gnostic Society is a secret organization that only appeared in the Fifth Era or at the beginning of this era. They believe that the spirit is the essence of human beings, and the body is just a cage that binds the spirit. People can do evil because they are influenced by the body and must be obtained through spirituality. Knowledge allows the spirit to gradually free itself from the body, and then go through layers of tests in the astral body, and finally break away from the material world, return to the purest and truest self, and obtain eternal salvation. Therefore, many extreme members of the Gnosis Society have the goal of destroying other people's bodies and have created many bloody cases. It can be clearly seen that the sequence pathways they master are divided into two types. One is the more common apprentice among them, Master of Magic, a rare assassin and instigator. There is currently no evidence that Gnosis possesses potions of sequence 7 and above. How the Gnosis was established is not known, and their possible origins can only be analyzed through two sequential pathways. It is possible to pull the family. Klein frowned when he saw it. There is too much fog. It always feels like a lot of information is being hidden. However, he finally understood that the so-called Gnosis Society was actually the vest of the witch sect, responsible for many bloody cases. The witch sect masters the witch path and believes in gods as the original witch. Klein really has a headache. The more he learns about it, the bigger his head feels. At this time, countless people in all the worlds were discussing it. Good guy, are there so many sequence pathways that suddenly appeared? Has anyone sorted it out? Well, the current known situation is, sequence 9 diviner, sequence 8 is unknown, sequence 7 is unknown. Sequence 9 sailor, sequence 8 furious people, sequence 7 navigator, I don't know about the others. Sequence 9 audience, sequence 8 loner, sequence 7 psychiatrist, and others I don't know. Sequence 9 apprentice, sequence 8 magic master, sequence 7 I don't know. Sequence 9 assassin, sequence 8 instigator, sequence 7 I don't know. Sequence 9 generalist, sequence 8 archaeologist, sequence 7 connoisseur. Sequence 9 corpse collector, sequence 8 grave digger, sequence 7 psychic, and I don't know about the others. Sequence 9 secret peeper, sequence 8 unknown, sequence 7 wizard. Sequence 9 thief, sequence 8 swindler, sequence 7 I don't know. Oh, by the way, there is also a sequence 9 sleepless man, a sequence 8 midnight poet, and a sequence 7 nightmare. Well, there are now 10 god sequences, and I don't know what the other 12 are like. By the way, these sequences of gods look ordinary. I alone can achieve all the abilities of these 10 sequences. Indeed, I can be not only a diviner, but also a psychologist, a master of magic, a generalist, a collector of corpses, a voyeur, a thief, and even a thief. You can also be an assassin or an instigator. Tisk, this sequence of gods really pulls the crotch. We can't say that the god sequence stretches the crotch, just because it is only a low sequence. That's why it feels normal. Indeed, when we are in a high position, we naturally feel that these abilities are average, but these abilities are already very powerful for ordinary people. Indeed, ordinary people are unable to divination, ordinary people cannot resist the instigator's temptation, and ordinary people cannot resist the assassin's assassination. By the way, is there any connection between these sequences of gods? On the side of the sailors and the generalists, I feel that they are still normal. They do seem to be in the same sequence, but it is a little weird. Indeed, no matter how you look at it, it feels weird to go from a murderous assassin to a provocative and strong-mouthed king. The instigator, to be honest, this instigator is really strong in the mortal realm. Who can withstand him? I don't know what the instigator will become in the future. Has sequence 7 become a provocateur? First instigate, then provoke. I feel something is wrong. It's not that simple. Who knows what the span of the sequence of gods is? At this moment, countless people are discussing in the world. Because of the issue of this profession, everyone is talking about it. I have to say that some of these abilities are indeed a bit weird. Moreover, in this world, it is easy to practice. Just eat it. Magic potion is enough. In other worlds, you need all kinds of cultivation, skills, resources, etc. In this world, you can directly become an extraordinary person with a sip of magic potion. This is like awakening the innate supernatural power. Although the methods of these extraordinary people are not as good as martial arts training, and they even feel worse than fighting spirit. However, this is only a low sequence. There is absolutely no such thing as this weird system. It seems so simple. Countless people thought this way, and immediately continued to look at the Avenue Gold list. At this time, they saw in the picture. Klein and Old Neil entered the underground trading market and experienced three extraordinary things. The first thing was the wrong name monster. When the highly inspired Admiser saw Klein, his eyes were bleeding, he fell to the ground in pain, and he called out the smell of death. The second thing was that Klein noticed another man was buying the auxiliary materials for the spectator potion and writing down its appearance. The third thing was to meet the beautiful girl Elizabeth and help her choose amulets. The next day, sealed artifact 2-049 finally arrived at the court. Root City. Also arriving together were three Beyonders from Backlund Parish. Captain Dunn told him to do arm bending and stretching exercises at all times, otherwise his life would be in danger. Well, Klein looked at the captain's actions in confusion, and was a little dumbfounded. He was a little confused, and suddenly he had a flash of inspiration and asked, "Is it related to the sealed object?" "Right." Dunn nodded and said solemnly, "Such an action will allow us to discover that there is something wrong with you at the first time. If we rescue you in time, your life will not be in danger." "Is that so?" Klein didn't hesitate and started doing arm extension exercises without saying a word. "If your arm gets tired, change it," Dunn warned again. "This 2-049 sealed object is really weird. What is the significance of such an action?" Klein muttered. He really couldn't figure it out. Also confused were all the heavens and worlds. Countless people watched this scene, holding their breath and concentrating. Level 2 sealed objects represent dangers and need to be used with caution and restraint, corresponding to the middle sequence. The positions in this sequence should be 5-7. To be honest, I still don't know what kind of abilities sequence 6 has. The ability of sequence 6 has not been revealed until now. It is hard to say that we can see some clues from this level 2 sealed object. From these level 2 sealed objects, we should be able to judge the approximate strength of this world. Tisk, 2-049, I don't know what the use of this thing is. It's a sealed artifact anyway. By the way, is this sealed artifact so strange? There are even stretching exercises with arms bent? What a shame. Why do I feel like it was the captain who deceived Klein? Does it matter whether you are cheating or not? Klein can do it anyway. Ha ha ha, it's so funny. I won't do it. I just want to see, what on earth is this thing? At this moment, countless people are discussing and talking. At the same time, they look at the Deo Gold list, becoming more and more attentive. Finally, the world is about to unveil the veil. This sealed object 2-049 is finally coming out. At this moment, 357, as you can see, in the picture. As Klein was doing stretching exercises, he kept repeating them and watching the captain open the door. The captain was also cautious and highly vigilant, and he was also doing the same ridiculous actions. Klein couldn't laugh. "Come out." Level 2 sealed objects represent danger and need to be used with caution and restraint. I don't know how dangerous it is. Just when Klein was thinking about it, he suddenly felt like his head was numb, as if the power was out. He in his sight, everything began to slow down, even the movement of raising his hand. Everything became slow motion. Then, he saw Dunn stop and move in slow motion. walking towards him frame by frame. He watched as Dunn slowly stretched out his hand and pushed his shoulder. Suddenly, Klein recovered instantly. What happened? Klein knew very well that it was not an illusion before. At this moment, he felt a little scared and a little uneasy in his heart. It wasn't until Dunn explained that Klein suddenly understood what this 2-049 was. Sealed artifact, 2-049 Antigonus puppet. Appearance, a 10, weird-looking puppet with normal human hands, with obvious elbow joints, knuckles, and knee joints. Its body is covered with tan oil-stained cloth strips, and its face is painted with red and yellow clown paint. Pure black pupilless eyes. Extraordinary ability, make those around you slow down and eventually assimilate the creatures controlled by it. Normally it can only affect one person at a time. It will give priority to humanoid creatures within 5 meters of the surrounding area. The closer they are, the easier it is to be selected. As long as there are at least 3 people surrounding it, and each other wakes up those whose movements become jerky, the people at a distance will not be affected. It will not affect the same person continuously, there will be intervals. After entering the violent state, the number of people affected each time increases to 2. This is 2-049. A strange puppet who can inexplicably control the people around him and turn them into puppets. This thing is so weird that it can't be understood using common sense. This is the sealed item. Klein was a little surprised, looking at the doll with a strange expression on his face. At the same time, countless people in all the worlds were stunned when they saw this strange puppet, a little confused and a little surprised. This sealed object is completely different from what they imagined. They thought it was some kind of magic weapon, but they didn't expect it to be this kind of thing. Indiscriminate attack, affecting everything around? What the hell is this? Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 158. Is this a sealed item? It's just level 2, with this weird ability. Good guy, is this a sealed artifact? Damn it, I'm all numb. Who told me that sealed objects are magic weapons? What the hell, can a magic weapon have such a weird thing? Is this a sealed item? Feeling a little strange. If you don't pay attention, you will be tricked. Is this a sealed item? Need help from others to solve a problem. Sealed object? There's something. Fortunately, there are no sealed objects in our world, otherwise, it would be in vain. It feels like this thing has some ability to control people on a legal level. Turn people into puppets. This is only a level 2 sealed artifact. It's hard to imagine what kind of sealed artifacts there are beyond that. At this moment, countless people are discussing and imagining. At this time, the blue and white world. On the cute island. Isn't this sealed object a contained object? Mokayan looked at the description of the sealed object 2-049 in the Great Dao Gold list, looked at the puppet, and was a little surprised. It really is. Master Go blew out a puff of smoke and smiled at the corner of his mouth. He never thought that in other worlds, there would be such things similar to containment objects. You don't need to think about it to know that the sealed object is definitely a containment object. Object. Just. It's a pity that our world does not have that kind of magic potion system. Mokayan shook his head. Although there is no magic potion system, it does have various properties, Master Go smiled. In the Blue and White Society, human beings can develop their potential and enhance their 9 senses. Moreover, they can also actively be infected with some characteristics and gain something similar to superpowers. This is the Blue and White Society. The basis for members to become stronger. This is also the confidence for members of the Blue and White Club to take in other contained objects. Of course, not only do they become stronger, but they can also use the contained objects when performing tasks. In this way, the success of the mission can be better guaranteed sex. By the way, can we cultivate immortality in our world? If you can't cultivate immortality, you can always cultivate martial arts, right? Mo Kyung suddenly turned his head, looked at Master Go, and asked curiously. Well. Master Go shook his head and said with a smile, don't think about that, let's just do our part. Even if we don't cultivate immortality or martial arts, it's still the same. Is that so? Mo Kyung thought for a while and suddenly said, there are containment objects in other worlds, should we also go to contain them? Well, that's right. The Blue and White Society is indeed motivated to take in contained objects. However, if the contained objects in their own world are not taken in, how can they have the leisure to care about other worlds? Master Go smiled and blew out a smoke ring again. Can't go. Mo Kyung thought, and he thought of his own characteristics. Absolute characteristics. He can almost send those things to the place he can think of. Absolute hit. He had previously sent a contained object away from his own universe. That is said, in fact, he can travel through time and space, across the universe, and even across the multiverse, as long as he can see where it is. And now, he saw the mysterious continent. He also saw various continents for cultivating immortals and martial arts. After seeing those powerful practitioners, it would be nonsense to say that he has no idea. To be honest, he now wants to go and see that colorful world. He also wants to become stronger, not just the body itself. With fighting skills, cultivation, and various abilities. He also wants to drink magic potion and become an extraordinary person. Whoosh, at this moment, he was suddenly shocked, because the air in front of him disappeared into thin air while he was in a trance. Shot away by his absolute hit characteristic. Mo Kyung was startled, and quickly recovered and calmed down. He subconsciously glanced at Master Go next to him, and then he breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Master Go didn't notice anything unusual on his side. I don't know which world the ball of air went to. But it doesn't matter. After all, it's just air, and others may not be able to detect it. By the way, Mr. Go, do you think this Great Dao Golden List is considered a contained object? Suddenly, Mo Kyung said like this. Well? How dare you think about it? Anyway, this Daojin list is not something we can understand. It's no problem to treat him as a containment object. It shouldn't be a problem to just list him as a containment object. No 000, Mo Kyung said casually. At the same time, in the diverse world of the Lord God and the world of curses. Well, this Dao Gold list is really everywhere. Zheng looked at the Dao Golden list in the sky and was speechless. Then he looked at the guy next to him and said with a smile, Chu Xian, tell me, what kind of existence is this Dao Golden list? Avenue Gold list. Chu Xian pushed up his glasses, shook his head and said, I don't know. Ah, Zheng Jia laughed mockingly. He knew very well how powerful Chu Xian was. However, this guy plotted against the rules of the Lord God, causing him to suffer, and the team was completely torn apart. We are still together now, just because this world of resentment is about to begin. He wished he could kill Chu Xian directly. He wanted to choke, but in the end, he curled his lips and was too lazy to say anything. Don't look at the golden list, it's time to survive, it's time to do the mission, Zheng Jia said coldly and strode away. At the same time, he was also thinking in his heart. He wanted to see if there were any sealed objects in the main god. Chu Xian looked at Zheng Jia's back and pushed push up your glasses, eyes gradually narrowed. At the same time, the information world. There's no information on the Great Dao Gold list, sealed artifacts. Wanjie looked at the Great Dao Golden list. Others looked at the content in the picture, but he was looking at the Great Avenue Golden list itself. But in the end, what he saw in his eyes was nothing but a blank. This is the first time I see something blank. What he had seen before was all kinds of information. As long as he wanted to, he could see countless information. Only on this Deo Gold list, he couldn't see any information. However, there is something about this sealed object. He thought about it, and soon, he thought of something related. Sealed objects should be related to the information about contained objects hidden deep in the universe. Cultivation, cultivating immortals, cannot cultivate immortality, but it can improve oneself, can cultivate scientifically, control quality, and control vectors, Wanjie murmured, and a series of heavy thoughts appeared in his mind. In the end, he felt unusually headache again. Numb. Even nosebleeds. He knows, his brain is overloaded. You need to become stronger. Let yourself become no longer a weak ant. He wants to become stronger. Call. After a long time, he took a long breath and continued to watch the Avenue Gold list. At this moment, in all the worlds, because of the sealed object, countless people are discussing it. This is the first time countless people in the world have seen the strangeness of this sealed object. Soon, the screen flashed. Klein and others used the Antigonus puppet to find a warehouse. Before Klein could divine, they saw an orange fireball flying towards them. Immediately, the fireball exploded. The tuxedo clown stepped out, landed on one foot, and bounced one by one. His body was agile, nimble, and free and easy. He is elusive and has strange moves, but the Nighthawk is not a soft persimmon. The 6 people moved together, cooperating like antelopes hanging their horns, and quickly controlled the man. Just when he was about to be killed with a demon-hunting bullet, screams came from the warehouse, disturbing everyone's nerves. The tuxedo clown took this opportunity and scurried away. It disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. The 6 Nighthawks stared at the monster in the warehouse with solemn expressions. You can see that the monsters in the warehouse are covered in gray-white rotten viscous liquid. The white forged bones come out from under the skin, not like humans at all. But the all-ceramic dentures exposed in his mouth indicate that he is the real being of time and space. Out of control, he was far more powerful than the tuxedo clown, and 6 people worked together to remove the notes from its body. The monster research exploded, and all 6 extraordinary people were thrown away by the shock wave. He fell heavily to the ground. Where Klein landed was right near the sealed object. His thoughts and actions were momentarily stagnant. When his brain seemed to be stuck with glue, he immediately thought of the transshipment ceremony and recited the honorary name to directly return to normal. Just as he was about to stretch his muscles, the voice of the clown in a tuxedo rang in his ears. The clown thought that he was still influenced by the puppet, and asked him to present the Antigonus family notes on the condition of waking up Klein. Klein nodded slowly. Seeing the clown approaching, Klein suddenly raised his pistol and pulled the trigger. Bang bang bang. The bullet made a boring sound and exploded, and the bullets were fired at the clown one after another. The clown subconsciously rolled to the bottom to avoid it. As expected by Klein, the clown rolled directly near the sealed object, and his limbs immediately became numb, like a puppet. Bang bang. Klein shot directly, and the next second, a hideous hole appeared in the clown's forehead, and blood flowed out, red and white everywhere. Klein let out a long sigh of relief, went to the other Nighthawks, and took the potion for them. When he arrived in front of Leonard, Leonard stood up quickly with both hands. He looked at Klein, raised the corners of his mouth, and said with a smile, "Don't worry, there are many special people in this world. For example, you, or me." Klein couldn't laugh or cry. From the very beginning, he had noticed this Leonard. He had already analyzed this Leonard thoroughly. This Leonard was so pretentious that he thought he was the protagonist of this era. He was the one who, the proud man of the times, has some kind of adventure and possesses some special abilities. Even, I often see him talking to himself, as if he is talking to someone who does not exist. Now, facing this such a big explosion, and he was only slightly injured. There is no doubt that Leonard has a secret. The key is. At this moment, countless people in the world looked at Leonard, and suddenly thought of something. Good guy, this Leonard often talks to himself and is so extraordinary. He thinks that he is the protagonist of the era. He doesn't have a ring and a golden-fingered grandfather, right? LOL. Not to mention, it really looks like it. Gee, I don't know if Leonard has ever broken off his engagement. It's so funny, do you really want to stack up all the buffs for Son of Destiny? He is pretentious, has a grandfather inside him, and has a golden finger. Unfortunately, he is not the protagonist after all, the protagonist is Klein. Haha, I don't know what Leonard's reaction will be after knowing this. What other reaction could there be? I can't say it, I ended up being autistic. Tisk, everyone has adventures, and everyone has golden fingers. Who is the son of luck, who is the protagonist, it all depends on who has the greater stakes. For now, Klein's hang-up is obviously bigger. I can't say anything. Leonard can tell there is an old man at a glance. Isn't this a big deal? Cut, hang. What the hell is this? How do you know whether that old man is good or evil? Maybe, in the end, we want to seize Leonard? All gifts of fate are not free, they all have a price secretly marked on them. Now that Grandpa has given him a lot of things, it will be even more painful for Leonard to repay him in the future. When it comes to failure, Klein's failure is the biggest. Being able to understand Emperor Russell's diary is equivalent to having a guide. As long as he follows this guide, he can go further. And above the grey mist, he can draw people in, he can get more diaries of Emperor Russell, he can communicate, and he can get more secrets. This is the biggest hang-up. I feel like I'm still a little inferior to my grandpa. Ha ha ha, in terms of the convenience of hanging, it is indeed not as good as Grandpa. You don't know, but Grandpa can tell you directly. Klein's words have to be revealed by himself. This is really incomparable. At this moment, the king is good, countless people in the world are discussing it. At this time, the Dochi world. Why does this Leonard feel a bit familiar? Xiao Yan looked at the Dao Golden list with a strange face, and then looked at the Yaezun next to him, suddenly in a trance. Damn it, isn't this Leonard the same prototype as him? This Leonard, I don't know if he has ever had his engagement broken off, Yaezun smiled. He could tell Leonard's situation at a glance. It was obvious that Leonard had a golden-fingered grandfather. But, as soon as these words came out, Xiao Yan felt a little resentful. Can you not mention breaking off the engagement? At the same time, immortality reverses the world. Is there an old man with a golden finger? Wang Lin looked at Leonard, who was on the Dao gold list, and his face looked a little strange. Why is this kid the same as him? It's a pity that this kid met Klein, otherwise, he might have become the protagonist of this world and the son of luck in this world. Situnan smiled. Impossible. However, Wang Lin directly retorted he is not a time traveler and cannot read Emperor Russell's diary. For this reason alone, he cannot become a child of destiny, the child of luck must at least have abilities that others do not have. Just like the diary of Emperor Russell, no one else can interpret it, only the son of destiny can. This is actually the same in all the worlds. Is it? Situnan smiled and nodded, not to mention, this is really the case. At this moment, countless people in the world are discussing Leonard, discussing the possibility of Leonard becoming the son of fate. Well, I finally found out that it was impossible. Klein, in every aspect, absolutely crushed Leonard. Leonard may qualify as a child of destiny in one or two things, but not much more. Countless people shook their heads and smiled, and then continued to look at the Dao Golden list. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 159. At this moment, you can see it in the picture. Captain Dunn, examining the flesh and blood that had been blown into mud, made an inference Railbear used an ancient ritual to absorb the power of the notes. Unfortunately, he was interrupted midway, so he lost control and turned into a monster. Klein until this moment, then I realized that extraordinary people are really not a group of glamorous people. Rather, they are a group of pitiful bastards who may lose control at any time. This is the extraordinary, this is the so-called Nighthawk. Klein sighed. This matter is finally over. Later, he discovered Selena out of control at his sister's birthday party. There is a problem with Selena's magic mirror divination, and she is invaded by evil beings. Now she can only find friends to cooperate with her to find him. So, he made an excuse and called out Elizabeth, a beautiful girl he met by chance in the trading market. With the cooperation of the two, Selena finally returned to normal and fell into a coma. After a brief inquiry, Klein finally learned that the main thing that put her in danger was the spell, and that spell was given to her by her occult teacher, Hinnis Vincent. Worried that Hinaz, who mastered the dark spell, had some ulterior motives, Klein reported Hinaz without saying a word. Of course, report it to the captain. Dunn entered Hinnis' home that night, entered his dream, and found out the truth. In the dream, the cross fills the sky, and hanging upside down on it is a giant covered in blood, who is the true creator. When Dunn saw this scene, he immediately fainted. And that Hinaz died directly in his dream. Originally, when Dunn was looking through the Antigonus family notes, he had been secretly tainted. Now, seeing the scene again, the taint has increased again. At the same time, a picture flashed, a man, holding a quill, with a smile on his face, writing something on the paper. This quill, this man, is none other than the former Archbishop Zangoval. On the other side, Klein received another special mission and had to deal with it alone. A certain philanthropist sir heard groans of pain every night when he fell asleep. He suffered from insomnia again and again, and was close to a mental breakdown. Klein took off the pendant, used divination, saw the picture in front of him, and understood where the resentment of the philanthropist came from. Female workers died one after another of lead poisoning. And they all belonged to the lead factory under Sir de Vere's name. This resentment mainly comes from a female worker. Before she collapsed from lead poisoning, she happened to see the family crest of Sir de Vere in the factory. Even if she knew it was poisonous, she would still go to work, because if she didn't go to work, she couldn't feed her family, so she had to go to work. But now, died of lead poisoning. Seeing the coat of arms of the de Vere family again, this resentment naturally entangled Sir de Vere. After learning the truth, Klein tightened and loosened his hands, loosened and tightened again. Finally, he sighed. He could only tell Sir de Vere that it was a psychological problem and he needed to compensate the parents of the lead-poisoned worker and use his charity fund to do so. May help victimized workers. After all, this is just a sideshow. Sir de Vere can take over the matter quickly as long as he follows what Klein said. And Klein always thinks about the Honekis main peak mentioned many times in the Antigonus family notes. So, he returned to the university to meet his tutor. The instructor happened to be attending a meeting, and Mr. Azek, the faculty member, was the only one in the office. Klein also knows Mr. Azek. After all, this Mr. Azek is a good friend of his mentor. Azek looked at Klein up and down, and suddenly said, "I have done some research on mysticism, and have been exposed to some things like divination, and I found that there are some inconsistencies in your fate." Klein was stunned and burst into laughter. He didn't expect that someone would actually talk to him, a fortune teller, About divination? He suddenly had the illusion that he was playing with a big knife in front of Guangong. Of course, he was Guangong, and Mr. Azek was the guy who was playing with a big knife. However, out of politeness, he still asked what's the incongruity. Azek pondered for a while and then said, recall carefully, have you often encountered coincidences in the past 2 months? A coincidence? Klein frowned and began to think back subconsciously. The biggest coincidence was that while chasing the fugitives, he discovered that clues about the Antigonus family notes appeared opposite the room where they were hiding. Also, when Ruelbig fled Tingen, he hurriedly found a place to digest the power given by the notes, allowing sealed artifact 2-049 to easily find his whereabouts. Also, after Selena peeked at Hainaza's secret spell, until the birthday party just started trying, and he happened to be discovered. Immediately, Klein nodded slowly. Speaking of coincidences, there are really 3 such coincidences. In response, Azek said Emperor Russell said, anyone can encounter a coincidence that only happens once. 2 coincidences are normal. If it happens 3 times, you have to think about what internal factors are guiding it. Can you see anything? Klein asked. However, Azek smiled and shook his head. I can only see some inconsistencies, but nothing else. You know, I am not a real fortune teller. Huh? Klein was stunned. What he said seemed to mean something. Not a real diviner. He subconsciously turned on his spiritual vision and looked towards Azek. However, he found nothing. Azek, he was just a normal person. He frowned and pondered. When he got home in the afternoon, he opened the paper and pen, and began to summarize what the so-called coincidences were. And, using the ability of a fortune teller, he began to overthrow it. Based on these 3 coincidences, he began to divine. He wanted to divine. The question was whether there were extraordinary factors guiding these 3 events. After several attempts, all results were negative. Klein was a little relieved, but he always felt that something was wrong. Finally, he decided to enter the gray fog space again for divination. However, this time's divination really made Klein's heart beat wildly. Because the result of this time's divination was affirmative. Completely opposite. It was completely opposite to the previous divination in reality. Klein looked at the divination in a daze. The pendant with the clock hand spinning, for a moment, it seemed that there was some kind of power peeking at him. It was like there was a pair of eyes behind him, always staring at him, always arranging him. Who is it that has such a strange thing? Power? To actually arrange a person's fate like this? The man behind the scenes. The more he thought about it, the more Klein felt numb. At this time, countless people in the world were a little frightened when they saw this, and their pupils shrank suddenly. Damn it, arranging fate? Has Klein's fate been arranged? I have said before that no coincidence can make a book, so I read it as a story. After all, many children of luck were coincidences in the past, and coincidences make sense, but this, his. The mastermind? So scary. Arranged a coincidence. Numb. My scalp is so numb. Does it actually have such terrifying power? I thought that the power in this world was just average, but it could actually arrange destiny. By the way, was it the former Archbishop Zhang who arranged this fate? I feel like it might be Zhang, and the quill. Damn it, this quill seems to be a sealed object, right? Is it possible that this quill has fate-related abilities? Hiss, if it's a coincidence, if it's a fate, I feel like this Azek is also a bit of a coincidence. Klein's teacher had a meeting, and Azek happened to be waiting there. Isn't this a coincidence? It's crazy. Once I accept that there is someone behind the scenes, I feel like someone is pushing everything I look at. Coincidence, damn it, could someone be behind the coincidence I encountered recently? Worry, I was so frightened. I happened to be robbed by someone before, and then I went to stop it, and I happened to pick up the treasure. Is there someone behind the scenes? Worry, I don't believe anyone now. Damn it, my scalp is numb. Hiss, this world is a bit scary. I'm so restless now. I'm already restless. At this moment, countless people were discussing, feeling horrified and frightened. It was like having a numb scalp. At this time, Afp saw that in the picture. Klein began to divine the real reason for Elliot's kidnapping above the grey fog. A grey mist enveloped everything. Eventually, the grey mist gradually dispersed, revealing colorful flowers and green lawns. Behind the flowers and lawn, the space was twisted and overlapping, as if it had turned into a monster. Klein tried his best to look, and could barely see a dark red chimney. However, at this moment, everything suddenly collapsed and disappeared completely. It felt like I had glimpsed something terrible. Klein was still frightened and his thoughts were confused. Red chimneys, gardens, lawns. He began to think about whether he had ever seen similar scenes. Immediately, he shook his head and continued to divine other things, but these three things were weird. The situation of this divination was completely different from the previous divination in reality. He knew that he had fallen into a huge trouble. Now, he desperately wants to become stronger. So, above the grey mist, he began to divine the diviner's subsequent potion formula. He can probably determine that Joker is the follow-up series of Fortune Teller. However, I still want divination confirmation. Sure enough, above this grey fog, divination is very effective, and it has been confirmed that the clown is the follow-up sequence of the Fortune Teller. Finally, he began to divine clues to the clown's potion formula. Now, getting stronger is his motivation. He needs to become stronger, and only after becoming stronger can he get rid of this vortex. The divination began, and Klein saw the image of a middle-aged man. After leaving the grey fog space, he began to investigate this person's situation. Because of his responsibilities, he easily found out that this person's name was Sirius. Similarly, I am also interested in the information related to Hanukkah's main peak. Go to the library frequently to browse materials. Soon, Klein used his position to say that Nazarus was a criminal and began to investigate the books he was reading in the library. However, at this moment, Nazarus appeared at the door and passed by Klein. Klein is indeed a master of psychology. He is a person who follows his heart and walks by with an expressionless face and eyes fixed on his face. However, the administrator happened to look up and saw Sirius, and immediately shouted to Klein, saying that he was the criminal. However, Sirius was stunned for a moment, and then hurriedly ran, as if he was about to jump out of the window to escape. When Klein saw it, he immediately narrowed his eyes. There was something wrong with Sirius. If he was innocent, he would not run away directly. Faced with this situation, he would be stunned. Now if I run away, there will be a problem even if there is no problem. So, without saying a word, Klein just shot. Bang bang bang, the bullet tilted and pierced into Sirius's back in an instant. Finally, after a brief fight, Sirius fell into a pool of blood. Klein took the opportunity to channel and learned from his memory that the Joker the magic potion formula. Moreover, in his arms, I found a letter addressed to Z, a letter from Sir. From the letter, he learned that both Sirius and Hynaz came from the Aurora Society and believed in the true creator. They are preparing some kind of evil ritual to destroy Tingen City. Klein's scalp was numb. The conspiracy behind the scenes finally emerged. But he still felt like a mess. He went to a private detective agency and was asked to investigate information about Red Chimney and a certain man. The person he was investigating was actually the person who purchased the audience formula materials in the underground trading market at that time. He suspected that that guy was a member of the Psychological Alchemy Society. In fact, I wanted to learn about the audience's subsequent potion formula from this person so that I could easily provide it to Miss Justice. Afterwards, Klein really felt that these coincidences were too confusing and he didn't know what the situation was. Immediately, he visited Mr. Azek here. Mr. Azek's eyes were full of vicissitudes of life, and his tone was even more bleak. He said quietly, seeing through coincidences stems from my own ability, but my previous memories are almost all lost, and many problems cannot be solved. Answer. Forgot. Klein was a little surprised. Before entering the history department of Backlund University, I lost most of my memory. I only remember my own name and basic knowledge. Fortunately, I still have identification, otherwise I would have become a homeless person. Over the years, I searched for my parents based on their identification, but to no avail, even if I could see a glimpse of destiny. Azek said, becoming more and more sad during the years in college, I gradually discovered that I have some strange powers that are beyond the scope of common sense. Klein was a little surprised. Mr. Azek, you know, why did you lose your memory? Oh, no, I mean, did you find the reason for your memory loss at the scene? Before, Klein always thought that Azek was a bit weird, and he was definitely not as simple as an ordinary person. But unexpectedly, Azek actually said that he had lost his memory. Hearing this, Azek shook his head heavily. No, it's like I fell asleep and then forgot everything. Is that so? Klein nodded. At this time, Azek said again that after he left Backlund, he started dreaming about many strange things. There are many different dreams, either inside the dark mausoleum, there is an ancient coffin with a corpse inside, and white feathers grow on his back. I dreamed that he was a knight in full armor, holding 3 rice spear, rushed towards the enemy. Sometimes, he was a lord, with a rich manor, a beautiful wife and 3 children. Sometimes, he is a vagabond again, on the muddy road, soaked in the rain, cold and hungry. Sometimes, he dreamed that he had a daughter who was different from other children and always asked him for candy. Sometimes, he dreamed that he was standing next to the gallows, looking coldly at the floating corpse. After listening to this, Klein fell into deep thought for a moment. What does that mean? Previous life? At this time, countless people in the world saw this, and everyone was a little surprised. Why does this Azek look so much like a little girl? Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 160. Good guy, she really looks a bit like a little girl. What the hell, can you still dream about situations that are not your own? This is either a previous life, or what happened before he lost his memory. Good guy, no need to think about it, this Azek is definitely a boss. Absolutely a big boss. Brutal boss. I'm afraid this guy is not a high sequence fortune teller dash. Seer sequence. High sequence strongman. Let's start with the source, that mausoleum, that coffin, the person in the coffin, tisk, covered in white feathers. Good guy, what's going on? White feathers. Could it be that something unknown happened to him like those Yuan masters, and he had red hair all over his body? Tisk, this Azek might be the Deo fruit of that big shot in the mausoleum. It's so funny, the little girl appears again, right? Although, this Azek must be very strong and cruel. At this moment, countless people were discussing. It felt so familiar. At this time, it was seen that in the picture, Azek revealed the fact that Klein was not an ordinary person. Hopefully Klein will help him keep an eye out for clues about him. In response, Klein naturally nodded. After leaving, during this period of time, Klein has been playing the role of soothsayer. One day, Grotchis and others came to the soothsayer club to visit Klein again. They had come to Klein for divination before. Klein's divination was indeed correct, that Lanerwas is a scumbag. All glassy investments were in vain. In addition, the beauty Megus was pregnant with his child. Everyone advised her to abort the child, but Megus shook her head and said he is different from his father. He is a good boy. He kicks me lightly every day and tells me his mood. He also hums, sing, whistle, use music to help me fall asleep. Others just listen to this. After all, it's too incredible. However, when these words fell into Klein's ears, something felt wrong. Therefore, he planned to use his spiritual vision to take a look. Unexpectedly, at this time, Megus had already turned around and left. And Grachis and others did not have any belongings of Lanerwas. Klein wanted to do divination, but he was powerless. At this time, the private detective had completed Klein's commission and successfully found the person who purchased the audience formula in the underground market. His name was Dustgood Ryan, a madhouse doctor. Klein naturally came to visit. With some sweet words, he was coaxed into becoming an informant of the Church of the Night. During the conversation, Klein learned that there was a patient in the lunatic asylum named Hood Eugen, who was very strange and different from ordinary people. Klein took a note, turned around and reported it to the captain. Naturally, he forgot about this matter and continued to perform extraordinary tasks. In recent times, civilians have been dying in large numbers. Leonard and Klein investigated everywhere, looking for clues. When the two were alone, Leonard said quietly, the cause of their death is normal, but there is a curse ritual set by the extraordinary. Let their death time be advanced to this moment at the same time. Klein was dubious. Leonard's expression remained unchanged, and he said calmly, you and I both carry secrets, but carrying secrets does not necessarily mean we have ulterior motives. You also know this very well. My behavior has shown that the secrets in me are not malicious, but for the sake of evil we perform tasks to help. At this point, Leonard paused, raised his eyebrows, and smiled. You and I both have secrets, but we can meet. In the words of the novel, it is the meeting of the two protagonists. The wheel of history begins to roll forward. Klein complained crazily in his mind. Is this guy too narcissistic? What about the protagonist? What the hell, he didn't even know what to say. Have you read too many novels? Still a secret? Why don't you say Goldfinger? At this moment, countless people in all the worlds are also making crazy complaints. This Leonard really feels good about himself. Good guy, does he really think of himself as the protagonist? Think of yourself as a child of luck. Well, if there is an old guy on the side to give guidance, this is really the case. There is no Klein, he is indeed the protagonist, but unfortunately, now the protagonist is Klein, and even the Avenue Gold list recognizes it. I don't know what his reaction will be after seeing it. What other reaction could there be? Of course you think you are the second protagonist. Ha ha ha, the second protagonist? You are so impressed. It's a pity anyway, Leonard's failure is not as big as Klein's. Although the grey fog space was of little use before, ever since Klein became a diviner, this grey fog space has become his exclusive divination space. Hey, divination above the grey fog, okay. Indeed. At this time, countless people were discussing. At this time, the scene changed. As expected, there really was a curse ritual, and the curse altar was in a manor. Without saying a word, Klein returned to the company and reported it to the captain. The captain attached great importance to this operation and took 4 people with him to act together. But a woman in the manor was very alert. She destroyed the altar and caused chaos. She concealed herself and escaped from the encirclement. Although they did not capture the man, they succeeded in destroying the altar. During this operation, Klein finally realized that divination is not omnipotent. In this operation, he finally digested the diviner's magic potion. On this day, Klein was happily making extra money at the fortune teller club, but unexpectedly, when he looked up, he discovered that the next customer was actually Elizabeth. Her face was full of surprise and she smiled brightly. Mr. Moretti? It's really you. I've been having the same nightmare lately. There's a knight in black armor, carrying a broadsword, trying to get close to me. Please help me divine the reason. It's best to have a solution. Klein said seriously, asking her to sleep here and recreate the nightmare. Elizabeth didn't hesitate and soon fell asleep. Klein took out the dream talisman and entered the dream to see the truth. She once visited the ancient castle in the small town of Ramd, and unfortunately she was haunted by an innocent ghost. If she wanted to solve the problem, she had to go to the castle to deal with the innocent ghost. When she woke up, Klein said directly that this was just a minor problem and that the nightmare would dissipate on its own within a week. Elizabeth thanks her and leaves. Immediately, Klein immediately returned to the company and reported the matter to the captain. The captain took Fry and Klein with him to the castle. In addition, the three of them also brought with them a third-level sealed object, the mutated sun sacred glory. This object can evolve corpses and ghosts. But if a normal person stays within 15 meters of it for an hour, he will become an idiot who only knows how to praise the sun. And the limit for extraordinary people is to stay for 6 hours. With the cooperation of the three people and the illumination of the holy glory, the innocent soul was wiped out in an instant. But they still felt that this ancient castle was not simple, so they started investigating around it. During the investigation, Klein saw the portrait of the first Baron in the ancient castle. I found that this Baron looked very much like Mr. Azek. If it is Mr. Azek, is it possible that Azek has lived for more than 1,000 years? Reincarnated multiple times, and each time you end one life, you will lose the memory of the previous one? This speculation shocked Klein. Still, he kept it in mind. At this moment, Klein seemed to notice someone calling out to the gods. He turned back to the grey mist and saw the guy calling him. It's not that he was calling him, it was just because of his random shouting that he called many gods with similar characteristics. The other gods didn't want to pay attention to him, but Klein, the fool who is not a god. That guy thought he had met a god, which was a bit scary. But Klein bluntly said that he is not a god, but a fool who is interested in long history. He pulled young Derek into the grey mist space. He soon understood that Derek was in the same world as him, but he didn't know where the so-called Silver City was. There are no sun, moon, or stars in Silver City, only unchanging darkness and lightning that tears everything apart. According to legend, the omniscient and omnipotent God abandoned this land, so this place is also called the land abandoned by God. It's like saying this from another world. However, this is not important. In the end, Klein asked Derek to join the Tarot Society, and asked Derek to choose a tarot card as his nickname. The sun, I choose the sun, Derek Jean-Jinji Tai spoke with a firm tone. A young man who lives in darkness all day long longs to see the sun and even become the sun. Afterwards, Klein got some information from Derek about Silver City and the City of Silver. Country, the legend of the Giant King's Court. This makes Klein even more certain that the Silver City, this magical place, is in the corner of the world where they are. After all, this Silver City has the same history as the northern continent. At the same time, he also learned the magic potion formula of the giant path from Derek. Sequence 9 Super Warrior, Sequence 8 Gladiator, Sequence 7 Weapon Master, Sequence 6 Dawn Knight, Sequence 5 Guardian, Sequence 4 Demon. Higher level I don't know. But this is also the first time for Klein to know some names of higher sequences. Although this is only the giant sequence. But it also opened a window for Klein. Soon, Klein also knew some of the magic of the Aurora Society. The name of the medicine. A shepherd sequence. Sequence 9 Secret Prayer, Sequence 8 Whisperer, Sequence 7 Hermit Monk, Sequence 6 Rose Leader, Sequence 5 Shepherd. After that, Derek told some situations about Silver City. Silver the city is under a curse. No matter ordinary people or extraordinary people, they will become evil spirits after death, but the evil spirits transformed by extraordinary people are even more terrifying. In history, the curse almost caused the destruction of Silver City several times. The only solution is to use people of the same bloodline ended the life of the deceased with their own hands. In other words, they wanted their children to kill their parents with their own hands. Klein was speechless. What kind of curse was this? In the end, Derek was allowed to join the Tarot Society. Became the third member of the Tarot Club. Immediately, Klein returned to reality. At this time, they had been in contact with Shengui for 3 hours and were about to reach the limit. In order to reduce side effects, the three of them took turns guarding, and the remaining two the man took this opportunity to adjust his body. While Klein was guarding the Holy Glory, his hand became itchy again. He couldn't help but divine the origin of this Holy Glory. Then, he saw the God eternal blazing sun, and his body instantly transformed into the torches burning. God cannot be looked directly at. Fortunately, the gray fog space is mysterious enough, and Klein narrowly escaped death. However, it was also because of this adventure that he gained a lot of information. 1 straight. 2. Sun Path Sequence 1 is called Pure White Angel. 3 techniques for making the Sun Flame Talisman. This is a talisman in the Sun domain. The effect can last for 1 year. There is no need to hold a ceremony. You can use 3-0782 instead. From this Sun Holy Glory steal power from among them. 4 is very hostile to the Lord of Storms, the God of knowledge and wisdom. 5 Sequence 9 Singer Potion Recipe, main material, a crystallized sunflower or the tail feathers of an adult flint bird or the tail feathers of a pyromancer, a siren stone or a singing sunflower. Auxiliary materials, a midsummer grass, 5 drops of July wine juice, an elf dark leaf. 6 Sequence 8 Light Prayer Potion Recipe, main material, a piece of radiant stone or the powder of the blazing soul or the blood of the mirror hedgehog or the heart of the molten troll. Auxiliary materials, 1 golden rimmed sunflower, 3 drops of aconite juice. 7. Sequence 5 Priest of Light Potion Recipe, main material, don't know, auxiliary ingredients, 5 grams of rosemary, 7 drops of golden palm juice, 10 ml of rock water, 60 ml of the blood of the Dawn Rooster King. 8 Sequence 4 Darkless 1 Potion Formula, the main material can be extracted with Sun Zhenguolai. The golden divine blood that comes out can also be replaced by the 3 tail feathers of the adult sunbird and a sacred radiance stone. I don't know the auxiliary materials. This is what Klein looked directly at the gods this time and divined. It's like a survival reward. He successfully survived the process of looking directly at the gods, and was rewarded. Soon, it was time for the Tarot Club meeting again. As a new member, Taeyang obtained the Sequence 9 Singer formula. In exchange, at the next gathering, Justice will receive the Sequence 8 Mind Reader formula. The Fool will gain 300 pounds. Naturally, the Fool is a god and is not interested in vulgar money. Klein, the Fool's favored one, is short of money. Yes, it's not the Fool who wants money. The Fool's dependent Klein wants money. What does it have to do with the Fool? At this moment, countless people burst into laughter. What the hell, is it okay to seek benefits for yourself? Immediately, Klein received another note from the new Emperor Russell. On November 3rd, Matilda was 3 months pregnant. Now when I look at those maids from the country, I feel that they are pretty and pretty. No, I can't lower my class and style. It just so happens that the Countess of Fleisch invites me to a party. A private party, hee hee. On November 8th, Archbishop Van Esteying asked me for help. Hey, what can I do to help an archbishop? On November 9th, it turns out that there are still such secrets hidden in the sequence pathways. Archbishop Aston told me that after becoming a Sequence 5 Beyonder, the following parts can be replaced by sequences corresponding to one or two other pathways. That is, starting from the step from mid-sequence to high sequence. But this is only limited to those one or two. Once you replace the wrong potion, half madness is the lightest outcome, and it is impossible to get promoted in the future. In this way, the paths that can replace each other starting from sequence 4 include the Sleepless One path and the Corpse Collector path. Well, the Church's Generalist path and Secret Seeker path can also replace each other in high sequences.